Shit, what do I do? Okay, Kirsan, we're back there. No, okay. So, most recently in your adventure, you all finished up some final business in Kirsan. You were tasked by Mirage to keep your eye out for any evidence of any tears of Modera out in the world. You sold some goods to Shanor and Mads, made some final shopkeeping purchases in the markets, and before too long were approached by Korik, the Aarakocra elder that you and Sora came here to meet, though he was in the form of a small falcon instead of his taller natural self. He greeted you all warmly, spoke with Sora to get up to speed, and soon led you all a couple hours westward just outside of town toward a tree that he explained could transport you all the way to the capital of the nation. However, a male and female bullet had made their way to that tree's location and hindered your way forward. After combat with those two creatures, as well as some large and opportunistic chimeran vultures, you cleared the area of threats. And now able to approach the tree, Korik began to channel natural magic through his staff and created some sort of magical gateway through the tree, fit to transport you all hundreds of miles eastward. And that is where we pick back up, right as you all step into the warm orange-colored light of that magical gateway, just before dusk or so on Fredas, the 13th of Frostfall.
Tell Pyrian you've probably got about 50 minutes left of +1 to your AC and saving throws.
Beautiful. Is that concentration?
No.
Oh my god.
Just lasts
From what
for an
spell
hour.
again?
Warding Bond.
Oh, yeah.
And now, as all of your vision adjusts to the new space ahead, you see, as I change the song, and hopefully it changes for everyone, your vision adjusts and you see more savanna grassland terrain, backlit by a setting sun over the horizon directly ahead to the west. You seem to be facing westward. And the creaking of wood and bark behind you draws your attention to the massive tree you just seemingly walked out of behind you. And as you turn toward this tree and see its wooden form warp, knitting closed after you all stepped through, you see past the tree to a magnificent vista eastward. Walking a few steps forward, you see what you immediately suspect to be Creatia, a massive city that stretches from this more lush portion of the grassland into the mountains to the east and the continuing Emerald Forest to the north. The city seems to be nestled into this corner where the forest meets the mountain and climbs up its side. And the terrain of these overlapping biomes is absolutely sprawling. You have no indication yet as to the population of Creatia. Yes, that is correct. But the territory the city covers, what you guess is easily twice the size of the footprint of Ostenis. However, unlike the capital of Creatia, where heavy industry and construction and general civilization clearly displaced any natural biome terrain that once stood there, this view ahead of you indicates that although there are buildings and abodes and structures that are clearly visible, beautifully so, great care has been taken to build throughout the wilds, as part of the wilds, not intending to disrupt or displace, but rather flourish within and alongside nature. A clear representation of more symbiotic relationship between mortal kind and the natural world. Stone structures are hewn from stone directly out of the sides of the mountains to the east. Canopy forest homesteads can see peeking through the woods of the treetops to the north. And even the clearly man-made structures in the middle of the city, massive stepped stone ziggurat structures that rise proudly into the air, seem to be carved from sandstone or limestone or clay, almost like the earth itself is sprouting up to shelter those in its vicinity. It is unlike any architecture or city construction you've ever seen. And Korik speaks. Welcome, all of you, to our home.
I asked Toby and Roulette, do you think we'll be here for more than 3 days this time?
I don't. Unsure what's going to happen at any capital we step foot into.
At least we're far from Durast.
About as far as we could be, so.
Just about, once you continue further southward, but yep. And Korik starts to lead you down the hilltop you arrived on. And eventually, after a bit of travel, you approach a large iron lattice gate set into an enormous sandstone wall around the city ahead of you. Sora spots 2 guards up at the wall and kind of runs off ahead of you all toward the guard on the left side, and the 2 exchange a forearm embrace and clearly begin to exchange in conversation. That individual seems to be a bugbear man with orange furred skin and goblinoid/lupine features. And Korik raises his staff in acknowledgement of the other guard on the right, seemingly a heavily armored, tall, bipedal bear-like humanoid who nods back and shouts something up to someone at the top of the wall. And the gate is promptly pulled open slowly. As you get closer, Sora leaves the bugbear's company and rejoins your side, and Korik acknowledges the bear woman. Thank you, tech nerds. I hope you've been well. And as you all step through the entrance to the city, Korik calls to Sora. Sora, will you please go alert Dinah of our return and consider your mission complete? Thank you for your diligent aid in these matters. I knew our guests would be in good hands with your guidance, and it would seem you are in good hands as well. Of course. Thank you, Korik. And she begins to run off into the city, but after just a few paces, stops, looks over her shoulder. And thank you, Udinil. And she picks up her pace once again, jogging off into the city.
See you later, Sora.
She continues her quickened pace through various streets and into the marketplaces and toward large ziggurat structures off in the distance. She is a fiery one, that woman, and has had limited interaction with Udinil before now. And yet you seem to all have quickly proved yourselves to her. The Seneschal of Land sees much in her, and so do I. Now then, I would happily lead you through the city and help you familiarize yourselves, but we are losing the light of day quickly, and I believe it is prudent that we set you up for the night. The king has made it clear that there are a few residences in the city not currently occupied by any particular residence. He has authorized me to set you up for the night at the location of your preference. As I understand, the following abodes are available to you tonight. First, there is the Emeren's Edge Tree Home in the northwestern edge of the city. Our capital stretches into the border of the Emeren, but do not worry. That area of the forest is clear of any bestial threats, and Terracore warriors and scouts patrol that area for the protection of the residents there. Another option would be the Cliffwall Cottage. As soon as I can click and delete. Oh no!
Oh, you deleted everything.
Yeah, I actually did. No, that's so lame.
Control Z.
Control Z is just toggling back and forth between the most recent thing. That's so shitty. There was the Cliffwall Cottage, a humble stonework estate on the eastern side of the city, built into the face of the Bridal Bane mountain range. With that particular residence comes a clear and quite impressive vista of the entire city and lands beyond.
Was it
Thirdly,
keep?
It is not.
Oh, never mind.
Thirdly, if you prefer something a bit less remote, more ingrained into the daily goings-on of the city, the Dawn Shadow Villa is situated just inside the southern gates of Corital. The terrain is perhaps less serene. I did it again. The terrain is less serene than the prior options, but is more lively and more conveniently located for daily business, commerce, or simply meandering through the streets. Do the four of you have any preference for which abode you may like to take shelter at for the night?
I'm partial to the Emeren, but that's just me.
What's the nightlife like here?
Oh, it is a boisterous and lively town, though perhaps less prone to swindling and debauchery than Kirsan, where you came from, but still just as lively and entertaining.
I wouldn't say no to a bit of solitude before diving into this foreign society. Foreign to us, we are the foreigners. I understand.
The four foreigners.
Well, very well. We can meander for a bit, but let me know what you all decide as soon as you have a chance.
I'm not particularly keen on spending more time underneath some sort of thorny dome. So apologies, but I think I've had my
cottage.
I've had my fill of the Emerin for at least a little bit.
Shall we set up at Cliffwall Cottage? It seems somewhat
Which one was
remote. That was the middle one.
Cliffwall is rather remote, but also is very easily accessible to one of the major thoroughfares. And the vista it looks out upon cannot be overstated. Is that your choice then?
Let's do that one. Nothing's too far away from downtown Corital, right? We could, it's walking distance, but
Yes, of course.
I think that cottage might work for us.
Very well. Let us make our way there. And then on the way to the residence, you pass marketplaces where dozens of Villian are closing up shop for the day. And they all seem to stop what they're doing and kind of regard you as you walk by. You venture past hundreds of other living abodes and cross small bridges that loom over canals that must be from some small tributaries from some branch of some river. Considering the streets are not covered with densely packed gravel and stone like most Udanil cities you've been to, these streets are very simply paved dirt, and yet they seem grand and clean and natural. The vistas are majestic, the population is wildly diverse, and the architecture is exotic and breathtaking as we move back to that main city map. For a city that blends so naturally into the surrounding environment and clearly prioritizes function over form, the city is visually arresting, to say the least. And eventually you arrive at Cliffwall Cottage. You have meandered your way for about 20 minutes or so through dense portions of the city and up a set of limestone stairs that kind of wind carved into the side of the mountain where the residence is. It seems to be a two-story residence, but it looks like it does not proceed very far deep. It is built in from the mountain and so is somewhat shallow in depth, but rather wide, and 2 stories are available. I think you will find this abode to your liking. It's simple living quarters in the lower regions with small mess hall and lobby, and bedrooms can be available upstairs. There are not multiple rooms. There's one common living space, though there are many wooden folding partitions that can be segmented off to give you all a bit of privacy, however you would like. But please, go on in and make yourselves at home. I will plan on coming to fetch the lot of you sometime after morning's light and lead you to Den Ferris, where the Beast King hopes to hold audience with you, along with other members of his various councils and committees, along with all 3 of the seneschals as well. Let me do this, core, and there is a little apostrophe there for
I spelled it.
Den.
Oh, I spelled
Ferris.
it how... Dang, I spelled it how Michael
Ferris.
Baird spelled it.
Which may or may not be Latin for wild home. So Den Ferris. Anyway, do any of you have need of me before I leave you all for the night? Do you need food, water, or can you manage until morning?
I would just like to extend our gratitude for what you've done for us.
Of course,
Sure,
young one.
Food and water would be great. Yeah, definitely.
Very well. I will have someone bring it to you.
And Court, these the accommodations and the warm welcome here to Corital. This is obviously thank you to you for getting us here. Do we need to? Are thanks going directly to the king? Is this kind of on his behalf that we're being set up like this?
I believe the king, myself, and the Seneschal of Land, Dinah, were working together in some regard to make sure we could appropriately accommodate you all. But yes, the king certainly is making all of this possible.
Much appreciated, Court. Thank you.
Of course. If you have any questions for our lands in general, I am more than happy to answer those, or you can speak with me or others in the morning when you have a moment to collect yourselves and a moment to rest and recuperate. But otherwise, I will make your leave. Take your leave? Take your leave.
Take my leave. I gotta
And
walk
with a graceful nod, he kind of backs up, and for the first time, you see him in his Aarakocra form. His wings lift him up, and he just kind of soars back into the city. And you are all left in each other's company in a strange land, amongst a populace that you do not know, with a residence available for you to sleep for the night.
What?
Shall we find a place to sit and just gather?
Yeah, so like
ourselves?
we start a fire.
Perfect. So I'm going to kind of modify this a bit and show Cliffwall Cottage alone.
Ooh.
This might be a little bit more, a little less convenient than I initially anticipated, but.
Roulette, not every part of the Emerald is like the dome that we fought in.
I know we did walk through quite a bit of it. So, creature comforts, let's call it. Looking for I don't want to say properly because that's a bit insulting, but a constructed roof over my head for the night.
But you guys are able to kind of filter into this space, and there is a very simple stonework chimney off in the corner of the main kind of living space. There's a very simple, like braided, like hemp carpet and some simple wooden chairs. Very simple accommodations here, but it's also small. The picture does it some justice with the grandeur of it, but it is not very deep in, maybe 20 feet or so. And then there is a staircase that leads up to the living area, or the bedroom area, really. But the small 2-story estate is comfortable, if simple.
I go upstairs and take off my armor, and I look around for like an area to kind of like wash. But we've been outside for like a week.
Yeah, there is no noticeable like water basin, etc. But if you guys have means of creating water or water skins or such, you might be able to buy refills and stuff in the city at large. But
What do I have available?
Stephen jumps into Telperian's memory. If a certain Aeridon of ours dropped everything he owned.
Oh, sure. I make a gallon of water with the jug, and before anyone else comes up, I just like wipe myself off.
That Jack's kept.
Oh, Jack's kept.
Oh, he did. Never mind. I know.
Okay.
I just went.
There is a very simple kind of clay bowl set into the middle of the wooden table, the living table. So you can absolutely make use of that if Jax allows for his item to be used. Something that you could use as a water basin.
But I do take off my armor, and I'm very excited to like leave my weapons upstairs for once, and just like take off a fucking 65 pounds armor that's been weighing me down for a week.
You're probably gross.
Sure.
I'm disgusting.
You also notice it is rapidly darkening outside, and almost no sunlight is visible anymore out the windows toward the west. But you all do have several hours left in the evening to use however you wish before considering bedding down for the night. So you guys have plenty of time to settle in, do what you want to do.
Jax, would you use that bottle to throw some water in the basin here?
He looks at you for a second with like squinted eyes, and then nods his head, and he goes over and he pours some of the water in.
A little bit of splash.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it splash or is it Magikarp? I don't remember the words.
I think it's
It's splash, yeah.
Splash,
and then he'll
water,
say,
and Magic
what do you think? Should we go explore town? It's the evening. It's the perfect time for us to get out and about.
What end? I'm wiping myself off the rag and getting all the disgusting armor sweat off me.
I don't know that I've got that level of energy left in me after today, but
What do you hope to find out there?
New city. Best way to get accompanied with a new city is to immerse yourself in it. I don't know. Maybe we should go out and look around.
Critter, I wanted to ask this of Korik, but I'm just going to ask this passively. Like, as we walk through a lot of merchants and like past a lot of houses, were people like spitting at our feet as we were walking through?
Not at all. There was no visible disgust. There was maybe upturned noses and people kind of like noticing your presence and walking inside, but many just like if they were carrying water basins or just kind of tying up goods at the end of like a shopkeeping day, they all just kind of like stopped what they were doing, just like stared in awe that Udinel seemed to be walking through their street. So you can make an insight check to see if you could get a general feel for your reception. Pretty much what I gave you. Like no notable disgust or signs of aggression.
Did we see any other Udinel?
You did not.
Okay.
Although you may have thought you may have had clues of, oh, is that? No, that's clearly a Villian, but some of the humanoids that have more kind of feral features built into their face that aren't very clearly beast folk like tabaxi or lizard folk, that kind of thing, but more like the person Telperion fought in Person Paw, or Mads, the kind of rat featured human like woman.
Mads.
I'd go out in a little bit, but I want to rest for a while and talk a few things over, check a few things out.
Jax, if you're heading out, I'd be more than happy to take a walk around. Maybe grab a drink. I don't even know. I feel like we haven't relaxed since we left the forest. Or
that poses an interesting question, and I'd like to stick around to do this experiment. Jax, if you drink, would Jerry get drunk or would you get drunk?
No idea.
Because, forgive me, when I touched you earlier, it still seems that you have Jerry's physical form. I see you.
What are you talking about?
Manifested how you would prefer to appear.
No, I don't know what happened to Jerry's body. It's gone. It's me. Look it.
Hadn't I touched? It would have been 2 sessions ago. Like, right as he appeared, like I went up and there was like some discrepancies between the form.
I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
Is he taller than Jerry or shorter?
He is currently the same height.
How was your first combat outside of Jerry's head?
Weird, getting used to my body again. Thought you guys were taller, but maybe I grew a little bit now that I'm out. It feels good.
I don't know what to make of that.
There's a sudden rapping of knuckles on your guys' wooden door. We brought food.
God, yes.
I open up the door with my mate Kair from where we are.
Standing in front of the doorway, too tall to potentially enter the doorway, a roughly 7-foot tall minotaur with enormous horns going up. We brought you this from Den Obsidia at Korik's request. You'll find inside some additional water skins and stew containers.
Thank you so much.
I'm very grateful. Thank you.
You also notice that behind this minotaur gentleman, there is a woman that kind of looks imposing in her own right, maybe even taller than the minotaur, but she seems to have kind of droopier, softer, bovine-esque features that don't quite look like minotaur, but rather more simple cattle. But she is carrying 2 enormous, large wooden clubs on her back, and the minotaur is carrying a shield and javelin.
I go take the water skins.
Imagine not having dozens of javelins. Could not be Telperion.
Could not be me.
Much appreciated. I guess I don't know if it's fairly obvious, but we are new to town. I guess first, very blatant question. Showing gratuity. We very much appreciate the food and everything and drink you just brought us. Is there any sort of coin or anything we could give you as a bit of gratuity.
We serve at the leisure of the Seneschal of Land. No payment is required.
Marion does look at you a little confused at the concept of tipping a servant.
Oh, God. Glad we got that recorded.
So,
thank you. Again, the knowledge is kind of what we're looking for here. If we were looking to go out and, I don't know, grab a drink or a bite to eat somewhere at a local establishment, any place or two you might recommend where we could avoid trouble? Just looking to get some drinks.
He leans kind of over and shouts to his companion, who I need to refresh my memory of their names. Oh, yes. Hey, Ferelda, Three Falls is probably closed today, isn't it? She was worried about her. Yeah, okay. I think the only thing close by is the Watering Hole. Very lively bar. If I may, I would recommend, just the nature of the attention you may draw. You may try to keep a low profile as you carouse this first night. As I understand, there may be formal introductions of your appearance in the city in the morning, at which time perhaps the population would be more amenable to you.
Good word.
Wandering throughout the town.
That is
We appreciate the
incredibly helpful. And
If you do find yourself wishing to carouse, Ferelda and I may tag along.
that, you'd be more than welcome, and I'm sure we pepper you with all sorts of questions if you don't mind.
and what's your name?
Galdar.
Thank you, Galdar.
Well, maybe we'll see you later at the Watering Hole then.
Tomorrow at the Watering Hole. We're not going tonight.
Get your weapons. Sure.
You will likely see us around.
I want
Shut
to
the
know
door.
it's hard, buddy.
I take out while we're at the table. Oh, we're gonna eat and stuff first, I guess.
Yeah, you're welcome to kind of unfold the kind of burlap sack that kind of had a wooden tray on the base so that everything would kind of stand organized. And there are 4 clay like bowls of some kind of soup like porridge, and then several water skins in there.
Start eating.
Did Minotaur leave?
He started making his way down the steps of your abode, yes.
Okay.
And then you guys, I imagine, probably close the wooden door.
Well, you heard them. We're gonna need a disguise then if we're going out.
We'll need company going out tomorrow night after a bit more of introductions.
Oh, I thought you said that to get rid of them. I thought that was pretty smart.
No. I think we don't need to stir up any trouble. I think
Having some high-ranking officials' backings and their word that we're welcome in the city would get us a long ways. So maybe just holding off for tonight.
Aren't you just a little bit curious what's gonna happen out there tonight? Could be something fun, something excited. Come on, we could use a little bit of cheering up, you know?
Why don't we decide after dinner?
Let's see.
I want to look through this first anyway, and I take out Jiri's tabby,
Okay.
and I want to like poke around and investigate. Like, there's the money stashed in it, but like I want to see what else is to.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of items Jax discarded, not feeling they were useful to him, that were once Jiri's. Jax, do you want to inform us what Telperion may find?
So are you just going through like the pocket, or are you like how are you like investigating it?
I'm gonna go through the pocket, investigate if there's anything, and then I want to like study the tabby itself to see if I can discern any is there like any designs on it. And also I'm kind of curious now where this tabby even came from, because just Jiri is becoming more mysterious the longer Jax is around.
He did tell you about it at one point. That was really early on. I don't know if you recall.
I think I'm more now. I'm trying to, without Jiri's interpretation, I just want to see what I find in isolation.
Gotcha. Okay, so what would be in the pocket includes the following. His goggles, I guess, of night, which I'm assuming you put those back in. His wind fan, which he dropped. His blue stone, a sewing kit, the silver chicken, 2 spell scrolls, and a mask with a wolf on it.
Take out the mask.
And Jax immediately, tries to snatch it from you.
I don't let him have it. What is it? Why?
That's mine. Where'd you get that? I've been looking for it.
He threw it away. It was in Jiri's possession. What do you mean it's
I didn't throw that away. I didn't realize it was in his pocket. That's mine.
Oh, I look at it. What am I seeing?
It's a mask with a wolf on it, like a wolf face mask.
Why do you care about it?
It belongs to me. Why do you care about it?
Because it's curious. You can have it. I just want to know what it means to you first.
Well, this is it's a family heirloom, in fact.
It's his persona.
Oh my
Jesus.
god. Persona.
Can pretend I didn't hear that.
Sorry. Toby definitely didn't say that.
Why is this the heirloom of your family?
Well, I'm gonna butcher this, but it's Nifo I Garav. Excuse me, Nifo. You help me translate this, Mike.
If you put it in the chat, I'll say it for you. Nifo Igarav.
Nifo Igarav.
Nifo Igarav. I'll give it back to you.
It's my father's mask. He handed it down to me.
Does it do anything special?
Of course.
Like what?
It's how I am the most dangerous assassin in all of Daenor. With this mask, you can turn into anybody and anyone.
Before we continue on that, do you just remember something? You remember your father?
Oh yeah, I did. I do remember my father.
Who was he?
My father? His name was Aaron, the King Wolf.
Keen Wolf?
King.
King.
Oh, King Wolf.
Yep.
So now we know 3 princes.
Well,
go on.
Was he an actual king or like a figurative?
Figurative, let's say. He was a full drow.
And that means your mother then was not?
Nope.
Do you know her?
Of course I do. But I don't remember what she looks like or what her name was.
So no.
Well, I must have had a mother at some point, right?
Generally, that's how it works. Where, how did you kill?
With this. I draw my sword. Pretty cool, right?
And were you simply for hire, or were you for an organization?
I don't know. Told you a lot. Don't know how much I can trust you guys. Before I tell you any more, I feel like we've got to set some ground rules here. Because immediately when I came out, I was assaulted.
Well, I'm glad you're starting to remember some things.
So what ground rules? We don't assault each other?
Yeah, I think that's a good start.
You're very tempting to assault, but sure.
Question. Does eating a meal, could that generally consist of a short rest?
I think we're like,
for sure. Yeah,
For sure. Just to keep it above board, I would have harnessed divine powered, short rested, harnessed divine powered. I know
Toby's
we're
in the corner
probably.
glowing.
I know we're probably.
Yeah, I mean, if you're scarfing down a ration or a meal in 20 minutes, no, but yeah, like you guys have ample time right now. So over the course of an hour while you're eating 100%, that's exactly what a short rest is.
Do you have any requirements for ground rules?
Patience is really a big thing. Jackson, I mean this with no offense. You want to get to Daynor, right?
I've got
that seems like
something important to do there. Definitely.
Right. Last time you were in Daynor, how'd that go?
Don't quite recall. I feel like I was betrayed. Remember being in jail at some point, meeting Jiri, but I don't know. Memories are fuzzy. The time feels weird for me. Like my memories are out of place. It's weird.
Well,
my main thing, and again, I mean this with no offense. If you saw Korik's magic transport through a tree hundreds of miles, if he dropped you in Daynor tomorrow, you get your ass kicked. You don't know what happened last time you were in Daynor. At best, you were with other people. You were with friends and allies. At worst, you were by yourself. And either way, you ended up in jail. You ended up brain shackled to the back of an air genasi that you apparently don't know.
An idiot.
So my own, he wasn't the brightest, but he was Jiri. He was isn't. I appreciate that. My main ground rule: patience. I don't know when, but I've got a feeling we're gonna make our way north at some point. We're gonna head towards Daynor, whether it's Toby leading us to kind of find out a bit more about where he's coming from, or if it's one of the rest of us picking up that vendetta against the Arknight to kick his ass. I got a feeling we're headed north when we're ready. So my main thing is just have a little patience, and yeah.
All right, I'll agree to help you guys, and in return, you'll agree to bring me back to Daynor.
I think we want the same thing for you. You want to be split from Jiri, and we want you split from Jiri. So we are united.
See, Jiri wasn't making any progress. I think
we want to get answers. I think that's the main thing. And
I also just want to butt in real quick. I've known for Roulette about a month and a half, not quite 2 months.
Sure.
I've known Jiri and Telperion about a month here. We've known you for a day. We've got off on what I think is just a wrong and perhaps unfair footing. Yes, I have ties in Daynor and Durest in general, and once we have things figured out here, that's kind of my leading priority is getting back up there. And, Roulette makes a good point. I would urge you to be patient in the short term because I think we just traveled hundreds of miles in an instant. So, getting to Daynor, if we can... I think Cork mentioned he hasn't been to Durest, so if we could at least make some big distance, I think he's our best way of approaching that. So I want to put you at ease that, yes, I think we're going to be heading in the same direction. I also now just want to give you the same fairness that I gave to Roulette when I met her, Telperion and Jiri when they showed up at Force Hollow. And I want to give you a fair shake. And if any of that sounds interesting, is of interest to you, I don't think any of us are opposed to new allies. And I think all of us are not interested in making new enemies. I give
I
I give a
agree.
stern looking to it, Telperion. Like, just let's see what he says. Kind of a vibe.
Can you just
No. No, I agree. I feel like I have too many enemies as it is. I think a truce would be the best path forward. I will aid you, but you're gonna have to give me some type of direction when you guys need help because I have a feeling that we see things in completely different views.
You know, and maybe
Right.
maybe that's instead of going out tonight, maybe we just I definitely have some questions. I just want to know more about you if it seems we're to be traveling together, and any questions you have of me, I'm an open book. Um, I think the first question on my mind was, how was today? It's the first time you've been out of the passenger seat.
And like I said, my body feels weird. Like it looks the same, it just feels different. I feel taller, stretched out, lengthy. Each step takes me farther than usual.
So maybe
I've got this crushing headache as well.
well, you're fitting a whole person in there right now, so that's probably what that is. Maybe tonight would be a good night in to, I don't know, spar a bit or to do some in-home calisthenics to get you used to your new walking legs.
I take out my herb sack and I just start mixing something in some water.
I'll approach Jax and I'll try and like kind of like gently grab your hand and kind of almost like present it to you, and then like go to like touch a finger and maybe it like goes a bit further before the contact happens, and just try and like show you that there's something off there if you hadn't noticed it yourself.
Yeah. And he's like, "What are you doing? Like, how is your hand going through my body?"
Roulette, I think this is still Jiri's physical form, but we're seeing Jax molded around it. I don't know if that makes sense. And
That seems strange.
And Jiri is clearly not here.
That seems strange to me because that only happens when I put the wolf mask on.
So it's a disguise. Is you're a disguise right now? And here, drink this. And I want to give him something for his headache.
Okay.
Just a little
Can I drink
tincture.
it? Yeah. What's it taste like?
Poison.
Oh God.
It tastes like mint.
Minty.
Mm-hmm.
Toby, to answer your question, no, none of this makes sense. And I think that's the point. We Jax, you've been around for a day. Happy birthday, I guess. I don't know. But we don't know what's going on. So I think we'll learn more, and I think help you figure it out. And I will reiterate my request from earlier. I think tonight might be a good night for rest and relaxation in here, and just for the night.
Some recalibration.
I do have another ground rule.
Who's writing these down?
I am. You're with us, and people are going to associate you with us, which means your behavior is going to reflect back on us. We are in the process of making allies, trying to figure out ways to help Creatia against arrest. I don't know if you care about that, but I don't know if you were lying to Mirage or not, but I think you saw an opportunity for some easy gold, and I think lies come quick to your tongue, and I want you to be careful about who you distance from us, because you reflect on all of us, just like we reflect on you.
All right. Telpion, I'll ask you every single time before I can lie to somebody.
I think
I don't want
Telpion's
you to do
very
that.
game for that, but okay.
If it looks like I want to kill someone, then you can lie to them. How's that sound?
All right, show me what does it look like when you want to kill somebody.
Oh my God.
I just pull a dagger and like pretend to slit my
I
throat.
thought you were gonna say your face doesn't change.
No, actually, it doesn't. I'm looking at you right now.
You guys trying to party? You guys trying
I was
to
looking at Cork for a while. I don't know if you can tell.
I mean, just in the realm of not lying to people, let's not lie to the king tomorrow, or any of the seneschals. That would probably be a good first step. But yeah,
We don't have to lie to a lot of people at the moment.
Oh, also, I guess, Jax, if none of the compassionate parts of our speeches are getting to you, before you came around, we managed to find a shit ton of loot before you even got here. So you stick around with us, and we did all of that without lying. We just we killed a lot, but we didn't have to lie to anyone. So stick around, and I'm sure we'll start figuring out what parts of the loot we can be sending your way.
Well, I think it's really simple. Jerry was the one who helped us get the loot, so you didn't get a quarter of any of that today. But moving forward, you'll be the one earning it, and he has his little stockpile, and the quarter of what we earn will be going to you.
Sounds fair. But, you know, if the king, back to the king idea, not lying to him, I don't know. You think it's like wise to tell him I'm from Durast? If that's the enemy.
Well,
Isn't Toby from there?
I am very much from Durest, and if I remember correctly, you're one of your, I don't know if these are self-imposed or not, your titles was the Scourge of Daenor, and if you're willing for me to, you know, bring that up, or if you want to present yourself as that, an enemy of Daenor is likely a Scourge is an enemy, right?
You were arguably killing Durastians if you're an assassin.
The way I interpret that is kind of he's a scourge
on behalf of Daenor.
Not a scourge for Daenor, a scourge of Daenor.
Well, Jax, when you meet someone, you don't come out and tell them all your dirty laundry, so you just omit those parts. Lying by omission is fine. Actively trying to sell someone a lie, I wouldn't do. For gold or short-term benefits.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
Change of subject. If we're all okay with it. I kind of want to check in with everyone. Telperion, how are you feeling? Are you antsy to get on and continue your search? Or does this seem like it will help that in an indirect way, or?
I mean, I partially left the Emerald to see new things and learn, and I didn't know what direction that was going to take. I think I got very close in ways I didn't expect for the Alelo through Force Hollow and Ostenis. Those are both off limits to me now, and freeing Ostenis would bring me back to Lux Monastery, where I very much want to go. I'm in no hurry. I'm rather old.
Yeah, I suppose you have a different perspective than we may.
We've lived an incredibly fast month where a lot has happened. So I've gone through a lot of changes since I've left home. Things are going very well in regards to my adventure so far. So, like I said, I'm not in any hurry. I'm definitely a bit on edge in our company at the moment. Not this room, but just we're in a new city, new people. But anyway.
New nation.
New nation. But I'm just curious. I've never seen this place before. So, like I said, not in a hurry. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was just, I don't want to put all this pressure on Jax and have us all interrogating him, but also, like, we're kind of in this together right now, and I think if I don't know, if we're all on a similar page and we're checking in with each other, I think that can only help.
Roulette?
Oh, can Roulette spend dinner tinkering?
100%. Yeah.
It's a small thing that I want to try and make. Actually, Toby's request from last time. Very few mechanical parts, if any.
Sure.
I don't know. I took some hits back there. back in the desert, but I don't know. I'm again. I've told you in the past. My goal is get that Tinkerton name famous, and right now working on Alfie, working on Moby 3, and working on everything else I got in my pockets is my number one goal. And I've done plenty of work, and I've got a book full of ideas that I'm looking to work on. So,
And I
don't know.
imagine if things go well tomorrow, having a king as a ally definitely works towards that end as well.
Listen, I've got 4 names in this book that I want to get on first name basis with. One of them is the Queen of Creatia. The next is the King of Chimeras. If I get to know all the world leaders, whether on good terms or bad, that's name recognition. I say that jokingly. No.
No news is bad news. All press is good press.
All press is good press. Yeah.
During dinner, or like as we're eating, I'll see Roulette, and I'm like, oh, I think she's working on my thing. I'm like, oh, actually, I was thinking about maybe not having like the lid on it or something, and just like doing that. And then I kind of want to whisper in and say, do you want to talk about last night? I'm not gonna pressure you, but that's, I don't know if you mentioned trust, so
a bit later, Toby. So you don't want a lid on this?
Yeah, just the compression thing of it.
Damn it. I was gonna use the Banshee's box for it. Shit. Hold on. I know I have something else.
Although, regardless of intending to use Banshee's box, which was a jewelry box like this size, so that is somewhat substantial.
I thought it was smaller.
It had a lot of coins in it and jewels and such, so it was fairly sizable. Although with something so simple at Toby's request, you probably do have enough scrap materials to try and function or to put something together with what you have that won't need to buy additional resources somewhere.
I have, so I'll deduct it from like my quantities. I had taken a bunch of like spare scrap metal from Jokel, and I also had the wire, because I was literally just picturing like I'm gonna make a spring and then just like, attach it to something. So
sure.
I will,
you can go ahead and work on that. Something that simple won't take you very long. Definitely, I think doable before you guys go to bed. Can you give me a tinkering check?
Sure.
You know how to do this. Like, it's so simple. I want to do sleight of hand, not intelligence based. So give me a dex check with proficiency, which is functionally just your sleight of hand.
Yes. That's what I was gonna click anyway.
I'm gonna put Jerry's fan in my pocket.
Oh,
hey, it broke.
It hurts my soul, but yes, you are overconfident with your ability to pull this off. And so as you're kind of stretching the wire, you hear something, and you're like, oh,
ow, shit, ow.
And have functionally ruined a portion of the device and may need to start over.
I'll deduct that stuff. Toby, this looks generally like what you're looking for, though. Just some sort of button you can press.
Yeah.
Okay, I will work on that tomorrow.
No urgency. Just an idea that's working in my head.
I put Jerry's fan in my pocket, and thus in my inventory.
Okay.
Jax requests the mask back again.
I already gave it to him.
Oh, okay. I would like to add on the ground rules of no stealing my mask either.
I assure you, we don't want it.
I don't know. I'll look at it. It reminded me of my father. Maybe it'll spark my memory. He's just gonna like sit in the corner and just like stare at it, like with his like up against his face, basically.
Okay.
And then Kapiran, I know you were investigating Jury's Tavi. One other thing I want to add is that when you were actually looking at like the cloth itself, you'll remember it's like kind of like a loop. It's like a long piece of fabric that's been like looped almost into like apron sized. And if you investigate like the loops, you'll notice at the very end of it, that's like hidden on the inside, it is all like ripped up and like sewed back together.
The ends are?
The end that's hidden, wrapped in, right? So you have to imagine like a loop, right?
It's
like
like
an
a
infinity
loop.
star. Well, I just
Yeah, and so like the outer loop is folded into his pocket. The inner loop that's hidden on the inside is all ripped up, like shredded, but like sewed back together.
Wonder why I tore it. I also want to check out his armor, his like that he shrugged off.
That was kind of sewed into the cloak. Yeah, you're more than welcome to do that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jax/Jiri, but I believe it was a set. There's like simple metal scales that are kind of sewn into the interior of the cloak so that it functions as scale mail, even though it looks like a billowing, elegant cloak.
Interesting.
It's a cloak with like arms, so it's like more like an overcoat.
Yeah.
Cool.
Similar actually to the appearance of Mirage's long maroon coat. Very street magician-esque, very billowing and presentery and elegant, though Jiri's is clearly kind of custom worked to include additional protection from the inside.
Yep. And then his tunic underneath, I guess. Jax took that off too, and it's the same pocketed thing that Roulette helped make.
Okay. I throw it in with the rest of my. Oh, a lot of that was in your bag, right?
I don't remember. You were.
I'll add Jiri clothing to the satchel.
Okay.
Well, did we have anything else going on? I could tinker with a little poison before bed. I don't mind staying in. Oh, I forgot. And I take out my quiver. Everyone, look how wonderful this quiver is. I filled it with weapons already in here. And I pull out the 3 needles.
I have my needle.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
You had given the platinum one to, or the amethyst one to Tobirama.
I didn't know that. I shall delete it from my inventory.
Spell rot.
Scroll down. Delete.
Do you already have that in your inventory, Toby?
Oh yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Oh,
You
you
want
to
to
do
use
some tattooing tonight?
Oh, is that a bit of a bonding activity? I'm not planning on getting a tattoo myself at this moment, but Toby, are you interested in, I guess, using this?
You know, you said it was the essence of a counter spell, and so it lasts until used. So I figure might as well prepare it, as opposed to waiting too long to prepare it.
I think that's the most important one to have at our disposal, and I think you're the one that you should have it.
I don't take, I'm usually not in there slashing at people as they're trying to get away or any other reaction-based economy.
The word reaction appears in a speech bubble next to him in capital letters.
Sure. That's yeah. Let me refresh myself on how these things work. Can you click on one of them? I forget how it works.
Mm-hmm. This magic tattoo contains a single spell. To use the tattoo, you must hold the needle against your skin and speak the command word. The needle turns into ink that becomes the tattoo, which appears on the skin in whatever design you like. Once the tattoo is there, you can cast its spell, requiring no components material. The tattoo glows faintly while you cast the spell and for the spell's duration. Once the spell ends, the tattoo vanishes from your skin.
Nice. MK, getting ready.
The level of the spell in the tattoo determines the spell saving DC. Counterspell is a 3rd level spell?
Mm-hmm.
It is.
So it doesn't matter, the +4 mod.
Yeah,
the +5 could, it's spellcasting ability modifier for the rolling part of it.
Right. Not the save DC per se.
Right, or the roll to hit, yeah.
Well, spellcasting ability mod is +4 on an uncommon.
+4 if I'm trying to undo a higher level spell.
Right.
Cool.
Because a 3 and lower, it's automatic, right?
Correct.
If you meet the level that you're casting counterspell at, it just succeeds.
Okay. I kind of want to apply this one, but I don't know. The magic, and I hold up the magic weapon needle.
Is that the gold one?
What do you all think?
Magic weapon.
I mean,
don't think we're not going to sell it or anything, are we?
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't have need for any of those. I'm not that I don't have need, but I'm not really interested in kind of wearing one of those. But Toby, yeah, it seems pretty straightforward. I don't think you even need to kind of pierce your skin too much. It's more of a magical imbuement once you activate it, and gives whatever design you want.
I'll do it with you, Toby.
So do you guys hold the needles to your skin? Where do you hold it to your skin, first of all?
I'll take off like my shirt, and I'll say to Telpian, just like right here in like left arm area.
All right, sure. Oh fuck! Oh yeah, there. I got it. Oh my gosh! And I command word it into him.
And then
All right. As you hold it against his skin, Toby Rama, you do feel a sensation of discomfort as you feel like a prickling take your arm, as the design intuitively, subconsciously forms in the exact way you want it, though it is an amethyst color to match the needle. And at the end of this duration where Telperion does this, the needle itself slips out of Telperion's hand, becoming ink that soaks into your arm as well, fully consuming the needle and now imbuing your arm with this tattoo.
So it looks like this, but obviously an amethyst color. Wait, other way.
You put it as a background. Oh my god! All right, there's the tattoo.
Oh my god, yes.
Just not the face part, but the whole arm part.
Yep, perfect.
Love it.
Yep. And then as soon as it kind of completes, it just feels like that tattoo has been there your whole life. Feels like absolutely entirely normal arm.
So
no
I'm gonna
soreness or pain.
I'm gonna equip the item in D&D Beyond, and when I use it,
Sure.
I'll just delete the item from my inventory.
Exactly. Yep.
Cool.
Easy peasy.
All right, let's do mine. I'll use the magic weapon one, the gold.
Okay.
Ooh.
On your arm as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the tattoo that settles is the antler right here, and then it's coated in vines, and the vines descend down my wrist or down my forearm.
Super cool. So as Toby Rama or yourself, whoever's applying it, same sensation. You feel a prickling discomfort as it like forces itself into your arm, and the needle itself becomes golden ink. And as this golden pattern stretches across your skin and just magically is exactly how you want it to be.
And the vines, the leaves are shaped like moons.
Very cool.
I feel bad.
Now have
We've only known you a day, so I don't really want
imbued
to
those.
So
Yeah, but those needles, you know, based off Roulette's description and the kind of process of doing it, you cannot get those needles back. They are permanently on your arm and will be dissipated upon casting.
I hate to say this, but I don't think I'll ever cast the spell because I don't want to get rid of this tattoo. I guess I could actually just get a tattoo.
And it doesn't require attunement, so that's very valid.
Free tattoo.
All right. Anyone? Anything? Any thoughts? Halloween? Good. I'm gonna go poison in bed.
Yeah, is there anything people specifically want to do? We can go to each of you individually as we begin a long rest, but definitely feel free to seize the opportunity to do whatever you want. Do we want to start with you, Telperion, then?
Sure. I got two things I want to do. One, I want to brew a cup of tea.
Okay.
And then drop my robe in it.
Okay, you can definitely do that. What did we say? You bought some high quality tea for Mirage.
Yeah, so I bought
and
6
so then
mundane bags, and I had 3 bags left. So I'll take out one of the charged bags, and I'll use that. So I'll reduce that to 2, and then I'll put one of them in the ring.
Oh, I see. You're using a magically imbued Vrael tea bag to put into the ring. Okay, so that you can absolutely do. So you can add that into your ring. Refresh my memory now. What is stored in your ring currently?
Now I have 3: the Vrael's tea, the potion of poison, and a regular healing. Oh no, and a regular healing potion. Yeah.
Okay, got
And
it.
if you you click on my ring, I always put it
It'll say it in there.
the notes.
Very good. Thank you.
Ooh, counter spell showed up in my spell lists.
Oh, that's cool.
Hell.
And then I do want to try to brew a poison with the grease I got.
Sure. Yeah. So you do know that even brewing basic poisons does usually take a full work day to kind of go through the chemical process, but you have some time available, so you could get a start on that process.
I only need to sleep for 4 hours, and it's probably like, so I have a decent amount of time. So yeah, I'll use one of the giant venom sacs or spider venom sacs in one of the greases.
Okay, perfect. You can absolutely do that. Give me a, I guess, just herbalism check with intelligence and proficiency for herbalism.
So
wait, I'm sorry. Are you proficient with poisoners as well? This is technically poisoners kit. So so this is still intelligence based to make sure you're.
Plus
it's very like chemistry lab doing titrations. It's a very careful procedure. But intelligence plus.
Oh God, you fucking dog. A nat 18 plus 23.
You absolutely, over the next, let's say, it was evening, but let's say 8 o'clock, if you are willing to push into like well past midnight, you could complete this poison and still have barely enough time to transfoliate before.
I will do that.
Okay. So you can add, especially because of the nature of your elvish state, you can absolutely add one potion of, or not potion of poison, one basic poison. Yep.
So a basic poison, and that was the spider sac translated to a basic poison with the grease, right? Okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah, sweet. I'll do that, and that's all I'm doing tonight, and then I'll trans.
Okay, very cool. Let me go to something real quick. I need to scroll back down. Okay. When you trance, is there anything specific you trance about? Or are you just going through memories, thinking of home, letting thoughts come to
I'm
you?
definitely thinking about Doran and the like being around Korik's been weighing on me. So I haven't ever been around an Aarakocra this long before in such a non-hostile way. So thinking, like, kind of meditating on the restraint I've been using all day, and then that particular.
Yeah, it may even be frustrating to you how amenable he has been and how
Literally,
hospitable.
yes.
And it is almost you're begging for reason for hate. But he seemingly is either himself as an individual different from stories and experiences you've had, or maybe is representative of another side of Aarakocra that you just have not been privy to. But you are welcome to trance over that throughout your time. Anyone else, specific things they're trying to accomplish before bed? Roulette, you probably have enough time left to try again your mechanism for Toby. That was short enough of an endeavor that if you wanted to, you could do that, or otherwise, whatever you have on your mind.
Before that, I'm just gonna, as we're like putzing around after dinner, Toby, you want to just help me do a quick walk? I know we're in a safe town, safe city. I just feel like doing a quick, I don't know, perimeter check of the place just to make sure.
Okay. Yeah.
When we were walking up here, like, how far away is the nearest building, or like other
probably a solid 100 feet. Like, these are still, it's still like residential area, but the houses are spread up here as they're carved into the mountain, and they're not New York dense style of living. These are very spread out homes. So you guys absolutely have the freedom in the environment to take a walk back and forth, up and down steps around the various pathways in this area. You might pass a person or two if they're wandering aimlessly, but you have the availability to do that.
Once we step outside, I will just, Toby, just give me a second.
As soon as you step outside, just a bit of information, you see the Minotaur and the Furbolg standing at the base of the steps, just standing facing the city. They acknowledge you walking outside, but they seemingly are here in a position of defense or guard just in case you need it.
Oh,
they never went home after delivering food.
Hello there, Galdar and Ferelda. You guys staying the night out here?
Yes, we have been tasked with positioning here for the night. We may not always provide this service to you depending on your stay, but the Seneschal of Sky wanted to make sure no harm would come of you if any villain meant to harass the newcomers.
Oh, okay. I guess, Toby, we don't need to do a perimeter walk then.
You are welcome to peruse the surroundings. We take no note of us.
Okay. And I'll just like start walking in is it woods around us? Are there trees?
There are sparse trees this high up onto the mountainside. You could probably find an area that's a little more hidden from view of nearby people or views, but the denser part of the forest definitely on the northern side of the city where the Emerald's border kind of goes up, runs into the mountains. There are trees here, but you're just on the more mountainous eastern side of the city.
I do want to try and find a spot where we're out of line of sight from either Galdar, Ferelda, other houses, our house.
Yeah, you are welcome to do that. Maybe takes you 10 minutes of meandering to kind of find a spot that's not too far away to cause you discomfort, but it's clearly no line of sight to nearby abodes or your guards.
Toby, I guess back to your question. Quick question for you. Way back when we were in the, I'm never going to remember the name of this fucking underground river.
Dark Lake.
The Dark Lake, because it's not a river, it's a moving dark lake.
Yes.
Back when we were down in the Dark Lakes, we were fighting those fire spirit things. You at some point you cast a spell, I think, that it made everything go quiet. Did you? I forget if you did. I literally planted this memory.
No, I at some point I cast deafness and then dropped it right away because I was just testing.
No, it was I think it was silence, not deafness. You did cast silence. Yeah.
Any chance you can do that right now?
I cannot. If we could that was a Michael Kennedy no, I could ready myself to do that tomorrow, but I don't have access to it tonight.
Okay. I don't know. You know me. I'm a woman of science, and I think it's easier to show things than just kind of describe them. I will. Shit, I meant to text your critter about this, but pause me at any second. So Toby, you've gone through some bodily changes since I've known you with your fantastic wings. I don't know how, but I seem to be going through a bit myself, and I'm not going to do it, but I'm going to get a burp ready.
Sure.
And Critter, tell me if I can do this. Not symbols, a certain faint glow.
Yeah. So two things. As Roulette is kind of pausing, kind of almost like looking through you, focusing inward, but her eyes are open, not looking at your person, Tobirama. You see two things. One, there seems to be an increased glow of bright blue coloration, but beneath her skin, kind of at the base of her throat. You also notice a very hint increased shine in her eye. Not blue, but more of a reddish gold color somewhere deep in her eye.
Eyes or eye?
Both eyes.
Okay.
Both. So, Toby, I'm kind of just hearkening back to what Galdar was saying about laying low for the night, and I know we're plenty out of view, but so you got woken up by whatever I did, whatever happened to me.
Understand.
So I have no idea what it is.
Set up an environment to display
at
without
least-
alerting the whole city.
Right. That's my hope. To at least I don't know my science brain wants me at least experimented a bit more with it. It doesn't seem to hurt me at all. It doesn't. I mean, if nothing else, it seems like it's an offensive thing that I could use against someone. Like if I had released whatever I was just storing up right here, I probably could have hurt you. But do you remember back when we first got back to Forest Hollow? The first time I woke you up, I told you it was a bit of an engineering accident. It was not. There was that was the first time it actually happened, and then last night back in the woods was the second time it happened. Both of those, it seemed uncontrolled. I don't know. I think I've got a bit more control over it now. I don't know. I maybe want your help in at least maybe trying this in a controlled environment or something.
Well, I think for tonight, all I could do is maybe just kind of examine you, see if anything seems off. You know, I've been taking care of people for a good bit of time now.
Of course, yeah.
So I would like to pull out my ornate book, and I'm going to cast Borrowed Knowledge. And I would like to gain proficiency in medicine.
Oh my god, love it.
And then I would like to try and just look at things
Very cool.
with permission, lift up like the back of your shirt and see if anything's like weird. And just try
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead and make a medicine check with proficiency.
Okay.
Oh god, it's probably so high.
And I was gonna say I will mention that because Roulette will have remembered this. I did go see a doctor way back in Ostanis, and she mentioned something about my eyes being weird. I don't know. I guess I haven't had a proper chance to look in the mirror for the past X number of weeks. I hope I don't look like too much shit. But check my eyes. Yeah.
Could I feel free to tell me to shut up and override me? Could this be an advantage since she's actively helping him by telling him where to look and stuff?
I would say yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so add
Can I take
3
that?
to this. Okay, so I'm going to roll with advantage.
Oh, Perry's not there.
Add 3 to this.
So 18 plus 3 for a 21 medicine check. You kind of do some basic things you've done for people in Forest Hollow. You examine her heartbeat, which seems normal. You feel that kind of at the base of her throat, upper chest, where you saw that glow. It does feel warm and like it's vibrating. Like you're just feeling like almost, you don't know this in world, but like as if you were like putting your hand on like a generator or something. You can just feel the hum of it. You listen to her stomach. Her stomach sounds strange, like it's gurgling, like as if some kind of intestinal issues, but it doesn't sound natural. It sounds like a growling sound to some degree. And at the suggestion to check her eyes, you very clearly, as you've known, Roulette has iconically bright blue eyes. You look into her eyes, and there is a very clear bronze-colored ring inside her natural blue iris that you identify that as like a circumcentric. Is that the right word? Yeah. So there's a bronze ring, and then the blue iris is still normal around that. And so like anyone passing glance would think blue eyes, but you saw that hint of color flash from her eyes, and with her indication of her medical practitioner's visit in Ostanis, you identify there is a very clear, not just like a fading, soft, subtle discoloration, a very clearly visible bronze ring around her pupil.
And if I'm thinking about the light vibrating and the somewhat growling of the stomach, does it seem to be just there and that's what it is now and that's what her eyes are, or is there like a bit of like vibration to it at all? Just in
you feel the vibration in her vocal cords, that kind of like, or her lower throat, that like as you're holding that, as moments and moments and moments pass from her showing you that thing, that humming kind of does die down and diminish. The growling in her stomach seems to just be sporadically a constant, but it's hard to hear. You would never hear it without your ear pressed up against her midriff.
Right.
But the iris is very clearly affixed. That is part of her eye, not a temporary effect.
I will relay that, and for final emphasis, I don't know that I have anything shiny to see a reflection in, but I'll describe the new addition to her eyes.
It actually looks weirdly just like Alfie's coloration. Just like the bronze, like almost as instinctually as you're looking at her eyes, you kind of look behind you as if maybe Alfie's spherical form was like reflecting in her eyes, but it's the same kind of like bronze-like coloration.
I relay all of this.
Yeah, I don't. When the doctor back in Ostanis looked at it, she said it was just kind of part of my eye, but that's new.
It's interesting.
I mean, the good news, as far as I guess collecting facts about a certain thing, none of this seems. I mean, apart from maybe throwing up once or twice previous, none of this seems to be hurting me. So silver lining, I guess. Bronze lining, I don't know.
I guess if I'm just comparing it to myself, I don't know that I have any persistent signs, except when I will the wings to come forward. And that's short-lived, and now I've got this cool tattoo, I guess. But other than that, I think I'm the same.
I mean, spoiler for you. That this it comes out, so I can force it to do something a bit more flashy than just underskin glow. But let's another night, another time maybe, and we'll take another trip.
I'll get that magic ready, and
yeah, if you don't mind.
The secret's safe with me. I'm not. This is how
I appreciate that, Toby.
Want to present it to the others, if at all.
Yeah, I don't. I wouldn't want to present a half-finished invention in front of y'all anyway. So, something I want to get control of first, and then, yeah.
Sure.
Okay, let's go back. Let's get back in. On the way back in, I am going to stop by Galdar and Ferelda. Friends, I just want to introduce you really quick, and I take Moby 3 off my hip. This is my little friend Moby 3, and I just pop him up so he starts fluttering. This is not meant to be an insult in any way, shape, or form, more of just a bit of assistance. He'll be fluttering around throughout the night, if you don't mind. Just kind of help keep an eye out, bit of an eye in the sky for you. And if he spots something, if he notices something, he'll come warn you. He'll come knocking on the door, just to let you know in case anyone's trying to sneak up on us.
Strange, but okay.
And I will instruct Moby 3 to circle the house 50 feet above the ground, keeping an eye out for anything.
Perfect. Sounds good. Otherwise, anything you want to do before bed, or are you going to bed down for the night?
I will attempt the button one more time.
Okay, yeah, you're welcome to. Give me another tinkering sleight of hand check.
Good boy.
15.
Yeah, absolutely good enough to construct a small little. You flavor however you want. I almost consider it like a vinyl disc player. Like it's just like a small box with a depressive thing, circular thing on the top that can click in.
Yeah, it's very much like a fidget toy that I like. You easily press the button and you just passively do it. And I will drop that off to Toby. It is just like a circular disc with a rounded button in the middle of it that you could depress, and yeah.
Perfect.
Perfect. Thank you.
Cool. Roulette, as you go to sleep, give me a perception check for Moby 3, but also You do not find any discomfort as you lay down for bed. You just feel that constant humming energy with you that is now strangely familiar. Um, but it does not assault your ability to go to sleep like those violent bouts of nausea have in the past. It seems like it has achieved some stasis within you.
9 for Moby 3's advantage perception.
Good to know.
And I'm going to be working on my letter home, not finishing it, but that's it.
Sounds good. Toby Rama, how about you? Anything specific otherwise that you want to do before bed?
I want to lie down, try to go to bed. If I hear some of the voices that I think I've been hearing, I want to try and alert myself and try and really focus in on if there's anything to glean from that.
Sure. Make a general wisdom check for me. Okay. Using a kind of combination of a bit of perception, trying to listen carefully, and then perhaps a bit of understanding or insight, trying to glean insight from these voices that are kind of ringing in your head. The only thing you get, and they're not responding to your probing thoughts in any way, but you hear like this, occasionally almost like the sound of crying, but otherwise the sound of like a soft, cheerful humming, singing noise. And with your 15, the amount you gain from this is you hear it increase as you shift in bed and your ear gets closer to the medallion. So that sensation you're experiencing, you are identifying that perhaps it is something happening because of your connection to that object.
That's it.
Okay. You go to sleep peacefully. Jax, anything you're doing before you go to bed?
Yeah. Jack spent some time looking at the mask, and it does bring back memories for him. Definitely enhances his desire to get back to Daenor, but also instills some fear in him. And then he puts it away and he takes a look at his body to just reflect on what Toby was saying, that he's not really real and that he's in Jiri's body. And he looks and he notices that he does have these tattoo lines that he's never had before. These white lines that kind of cross across his body in a fractal type of pattern, just like a little bit lighter than his normally dark purple skin. And he just comes to the conclusion that even if it isn't his body, it will be someday soon.
Okay. As you're reflecting on that and eventually being willing to give in to sleep, you find the process of trying to sleep uncomfortable. You can't seem to maintain a quite peaceful composure. And there's this warm discomfort within you that seems to like writhe and twist beneath your skin within you. And you hear a voice in your head. It seems I may have grown accustomed to the fool's mentality. And your form is, well, Jiri's form blending with your mental state is taking some getting used to. But nonetheless, well done convincing your friends today. If they need any assurances, you can let them know truthfully that Jiri's mind seems to be safely tucked away somewhere. He experiences no harm, though he is struggling to find peace in his new surroundings, as you may for a time.
For now, but we'll be rid of him, I'll be rid of you, and things will go back to normal soon. once we get back to Daenor.
Certainly, yes. Jiri had his faults, but a pro was that we did learn to work fairly seamlessly with each other in each other's forms. You and I may need to train to better find ways to accomplish our goal of getting back to Daenor, but it appears you have already managed to make use of my power to suit your preference in different ways than Jiri did, so I am optimistic about this new relationship.
I suppose, but you and I should be on the same page. This isn't going to be like you and Jiri, where you got to decide what happens. I'm in charge now. I'm the one that's out, moving about in the real world, not you. So let's make this perfectly clear. I'm the one in control.
Of course. I will make my power available to you so long as it suits the both of us. And you just kind of feel it receding back, and you feel the heat kind of subdue a little bit, and you are able to find sleep. But Jiri.
Shit. Fifth character.
You wake suddenly. That's odd. You must have dozed off. The man next to you that looks like you. What did he say his name was again? But most people just call him Jin, not bothering to know his name. That you remember. Hey, you seem to have dozed off. What the hell? I was getting to the good part.
Oh, sorry. I guess I'm rather sleepy down here.
Yeah, this place isn't very bright. It can definitely put you to sleep for sure. Anyway, should I continue? We're on to chapter 3.
Yeah. Keep telling me your story. It's very interesting. Now, I've had this book before, but I didn't get this far. All those other chapters I already read. This is a new chapter, so I'll stay awake this time.
Yeah. So obviously, like I don't know when you fell asleep, but chapter 1 and chapter 2 kind of are big setup. We're in, the elemental plane of air. The Orin fortresses have been overthrown. Drakar's now in charge, and now Jiri finds himself stuck in the prime material plane, trying to escape, get back to being the Tempest Prince in rightful rule of Jolland. So, I mean, as we'll continue here in a second, this is where it kind of gets good as he starts to like navigate a strange world and gain allies and gain their trust. Anyway, let's get back into it. And then he will just continue kind of describing the plot of A Monarch's Path, a story that tells of Jajiri trying to navigate the prime material plane, making allies in the attempt to eventually gather enough power, charge his sword where he can cut through the veil in the darkest, deepest storm of the year to force his way back to the elemental plane of air and lead an assault to overthrow his half-brother.
And Jiri will interrupt whenever he finds something that he disagrees with, and we'll tell him, "No, that's not how it happened. Let me explain." And I'm sure Jin, I don't know, does he get frustrated or?
What do you mean? I'm not saying this happened. It's a story. It's like for young adult fiction. This is very clearly like, what do you mean? It's not how it happened. I'm not saying that's how your experience is different. This is just how it was written.
I know. So the author is somebody I met once, and the story is about me. It's kind of like a biography, so to speak.
He shakes his head in confusion. He's like, wait, why do you look like that? That's not what you looked like. And he throws the book to the ground, and he gets up and like starts kind of leaning in toward you and said, Jax, what happened to you? Why do you look like that?
Does Jin's voice sound like Jiri's voice?
Sound very close to Jiri's voice. Different, but very similar.
Okay. Whoever I am, I look down at my skin.
You are Jiri. You know yourself to be Jiri. Your mental state is Jiri. You look like Jiri. And
I don't
so
know
does the man
who-
in front of you, though he looks different.
Oh, remember, my name's not Jax. My name's Jiri. Jiri, Jarl of Jolin, Jinjanacy. I know we've already been introduced, but you've already forgotten my name.
Okay, sure. What? Let's just get back to the story then. And he will kind of frustratedly / very confused and concerned sit back down in this cell. It's like stone floor with iron bars around you, but endless dark black expanse around the surroundings. But we'll kind of fade to black there as he confusedly continues the story and you listen. And then you all complete your long rest.
Fuck, yes.
And you wake
Long rest.
the following morning of Lordas, the 14th of Frostfall.
Dude, this song is so good. Dum, dum.
It is a good one.
Okay. Oh, I have to figure out spells. I forget I do that every night.
And Jax, as you wake up, you have no memory of dreaming.
Ah, okay. Good to know.
I went from 1 cantrip 2 sessions ago to now 2 cantrips and 3 spells.
Yo, very cool.
I have the fan, gust of wind, I have the new tattoo, and I have the spike growth chestnut. And out of character, if anyone is like, I'm holding 2 magic items. If anyone's interested in holding one of those, like the chestnut or the fan, let me know. I don't need to hold them all.
What does the chestnut do? It's bramble vine or like entangle or
Spike growth.
Spike.
So it's like thorns and it's a circle. Yeah. I don't think that or Alfie can use the fan because it's concentration, and I don't know if he can concentrate on anything.
Great question.
How do you
Great
know where
question.
I'm going with this? That's not what I wanted for at all. I'm interested in looking at that fan. I fixed it, and I just want to study it a bit more. Period.
You want to study the fan more?
No, not right now.
Oh, okay. Got it.
I also have the goggles at night, which I don't need now, but my dark vision's 120 until Jerry wakes up and I give him 2 of his 3 items back.
Yeah, so the goggles your dark vision's only at 120 when the goggles are physically on your face, just as a
Yeah, for sure. And
yeah.
Well,
Telperian's walking around with them on all day.
Jax has claimed that he has dark vision, but we'll see what happens.
I love it.
I got him the bag ready to go if someone starts stumbling. Oh, this is in his body, it seems. Okay, got it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
I think I'm ready to leave, though. I don't think I have anything I need to do in the house anymore.
Well, I don't think we're not going anywhere because I think Cork said.
I know I'm ready.
Fetch
I'm ready for Cora to arrive.
All right, so you all kind of gear up for the day. Anything of note as you're getting ready and gearing up?
I spent a little bit of the morning wiping my armor off and just like giving it a good treatment.
Okay.
Probably just like checking over my weapons too, kind of now that we're in a civilized house, giving some attention to some of the stuff I've had to neglect.
It's odd as you tend to your armor, just knowing that it's Durastian armor, but with a colored over color palette.
I'm not fond of it.
Critter, I can text you about this later, but I'm gonna start making notes in my book, like sendable notes, for the little thumper thing I made when we were fighting the bullets.
The thumper thing, my brain is not.
I literally
recalling.
I picked up a rock and I imbued it with the sound of like rolling thunder to distract the bullets. I will text you more about that later, but that's
okay.
I'm doing notes for that in my book.
Got it. Okay. This is also a good chance for, I believe, 2 of our members to re-prepare spell lists if you need to for any reason. Okay. Okay, perfect.
I think I'm good. Yeah.
Eventually, after a little bit of time, you definitely see dawn's light kind of cresting over the mountains to your east. And you see from your view, you have a beautiful view of the city at large, the lands beyond to the west and south, the Emerald Forest to the north, and even what you guess might be Den Ferris, this massive ziggurat taller than the rest with this blazing flame coming out the top of it off in the northern corner of the city. And I actually, well, we'll go there in a minute, but eventually as you see kind of the shadows of the mountain cast over your direction, and as dawn's light, as the sun continues to cycle, the light kind of slowly creeps toward you all in the east. And eventually, almost as the sun is getting much closer, you do hear a knock on your door.
And
The door opens and you see the familiar form of Korik. Glancing past him, you do not see any more of the two guards that were positioned at the base of the steps leading up to your abode. But you see him walk in and carrying his usual staff, as well as some kind of package that looks like it's wrapped in like a very large bay leaf. And he greets you all.
Oh, good. I see you are already up. I figured I should treat our guests to a bit of local cuisine to start the day off. Please go on. Inside you'll find grain-stuffed core peppers and some spiced carved mutton shank. Feel free to indulge for a moment, and then I would like to set out for Den Ferris within the hour, if that will be acceptable.
eat.
Okay, so you all eat some spiced meats and stuffed peppers that have like kind of rice grains and otherwise within it. It's very good. And as you finish eating breakfast, Cork will kind of lead the way toward the door, and if you guys are right behind him, he will start to lead you through the city. So you all pass a manner of interesting locales on the way. Marketplaces like Kirsan, wide open town squares with unique looking shop fronts and bars and taverns and inns. But outside the visual environment of Koratal, you notice something else about this place. It's starting to get later into the autumn cycle of the year, and yet south of the Emerald Forest so far, it has been temperate and warm, comfortably so, not giving hardly any indication of the colder weather that has begun to creep across the northern lands you're familiar with.
Climate change.
But after half an hour or so of following Cork's guidance, you all arrive at a domineering set of limestone and granite steps. As I move us back here. So a little bit of information. You guys have functionally traveled through the city this way.
Slept
Nice.
here.
Yeah. And these steps stretch like 50 feet wide or so and lead easily a few hundred feet or more up to an enormous ziggurat building at the top, the tallest of its kind within the city, with two vibrant auburn-leafed trees framing the building's entrance and a massive blazing fire smoldering from the structure's top. Climbing these steps alone takes you another 5 minutes or so, and finally you crest the top step and continue Cork's guidance further. And you enter the front of the structure. There's no door to this space, seemingly left open to the elements. And the entrance is beautifully framed in a stone archway with intricate designs hewn into the stone. You walk in and immediately notice, flanking your right and left side, two 7.5-foot tall elephantoid women flanking each of the interior side. And you hear the buzz of conversation from roughly 50 or more individuals inside. As we move to here.
Is this what you're
It is
working on
you-
when we were talking the other night?
This is not. This was fairly easy to assemble. I'll show you that in a second. Well, in a little bit, but and as you all follow Korik down, he leads you down this blood red crimson carpet laying on the stone floor of what appears to be some sort of throne room before you. Most of the conversation in the space from dozens of villian people hushes to a murmur as bird folk and beast folk and dragon folk and all manners of other Villian turn to face you all, regarding your approach and surprised. And Cork leads you to the very front.
No, the front is above.
Literal opposite way, but yes, you guys end up arriving toward the front here.
I think
Tell
that's the
period.
king's throne. I think that was the king's throne you just sat on.
That's pretty funny. Yep. But Cork speaks to you guys.
There are spaces available for you all up at the front. Please follow me.
And as he leads to the front and leaving you standing on one side of the aisle, he kind of nods and takes his leave of you and walks directly across the aisle to two other individuals that he begins to engage in conversation to the left. A moment of hushed voices ends as people in space start to begin to strike back up conversation slowly with each other, and the kind of buzz of conversation continues. Is there anything you all want to do as you stand here at the front of this throne room amongst strangers, seemingly in wait for something to happen?
I want to look at who Cork is talking to.
Okay. The person immediately to his right seems to be a tall 6'5" or so lithe lizard folk man with gray scaled appearance. He's adorned in simple but very close-fitting trim robes and is holding kind of a tome in front of him, seemingly a lizard folk magic practitioner, perhaps. And to that figure's right is a lupine looking woman. She seems to be a blend of in between kind of the wild marked Villian humanoids you have seen and like almost a bipedal wolf. She is some blend, some combination of the two, but it seems some humanoid features, but kind of an elongated snout that looks lupine and pointed ears, beautiful silver hair. She is standing with a deep purple cloak and a sword just kind of planted in front of her. Now I'm going to move Telperion back to a different tile. But you guys are free to just kind of sit there or stand there. Everyone's standing in this space, kind of just taking in your surroundings. Until eventually, a wildly loud roar echoes throughout the city below, ringing into and around the space, echoing all the way up here and resounding around the stone walls. A sound that clearly carries much further than from any beast you've ever encountered. A guard at the entrance immediately taps her spear to the ground and shouts, "All rise. The King of Golden Flame approaches."
But everybody's already standing.
Everyone is standing. Oh, that's true. Fuck.
Everyone goes on their tiptoes.
God damn it. That sucks. What a small error. That is so lame. But everyone does kind of turn toward the entry space, and the conversation in the hall silences entirely. You can see people trying to stand taller, not only for regality of posture, but also some craning their necks to try and look as far out as possible in the room's entrance, toward the room's entrance. After maybe 30 seconds or so, you begin to hear an approach. It is difficult to guess at the size of the approaching King of Chimeras, as the approaching footsteps sound heavy, and yet they sound soft and poised.
I would like to cast Enhance Ability on Telperion for charisma checks.
Okay. You are welcome to do so.
But
Sure.
I'm gonna
No.
do that.
Thank you so much.
You are absolutely welcome to do so.
Any charisma check you have advantage on. Just continue.
And the
Sorry.
prodding footsteps seem to be from some creature, and they get louder and louder, and eventually they slow a bit. And as you all look back toward the entrance to Den Ferris, a wide shadow is cast into the space around you from the entrance of the throne room. A roughly 8-foot tall figure looms in the entryway. backlit by the bright chimeran sunlight outside. The figure continues its approach into its space, slowing its quadrupedal gait as it continues. Once the figure fully moves into the space and your eyes have a chance to adjust, you see an 8-foot-tall lion, perhaps 15 feet in length from snout to tail, with dark tan fur and a mane of bright golden yellow. The lion's face looks stern, fierce, and weary, as if burdened with responsibility, and amber-colored eyes that have clearly witnessed much, but blaze defiantly with a golden shine to them. The lion wears around its neck a very large set of 7 brilliant amber-colored crystalline orbs, like large Akuma beads that are connected by a braided rope, and which shine brilliantly as they reflect ambient light. The lion slowly prods along the crimson carpet leading to the throne, surveying the space and nodding to various individuals to its left and its right in succession. Its head is held high, and its posture indicates almost a refined nobility, and yet its gaze, with those golden eyes that blaze like flames, strike a small seed of fear in you. And the quiet, chuffing, guttural growl under its breath indicate a ferociousness. This is no tame lion, and yet it is poised and dignified. And as it walks closer to the front, the dire lion, with the golden mane, nods in the direction of Korik and the other 2 next to him, continuing its slow and powerful pace toward the throne at the end of the room, its heavy footsteps padding softly on the carpet. Its gaze finally turns to the 4 of you. Bright eyes, golden amber colored, flicker between each of you, seemingly locked on the only Udinil in the room. And then his gate slowly changes. In a visual that almost appears like golden flames flickering away behind him, the 8-foot-tall maned head of this individual shrinks slightly. And as the entire body slowly and magically morphs, shifting out of a quadrupedal lion's gait, he seems to stand more upright, now bipedal. Over the course of 6 seconds or so, Beast King Mordecai slowly transitions into his natural form. A 7-foot-tall bipedal Leonin man, similar in appearance to the cat-like tabaxi you have encountered recently, but far more intimidating and muscular in stature. This Leonin maintains his dark tan-furred complexion with the same bright golden mane, but the king is now adorned in an elegant jet-black silk robe, with ornate filigree of gold and silver adorning its length. The crystalline orbs of his Akuma bead necklace do not shift in size as he transforms, and yet they continue to lay around his neck, now large for his new form. Now that you're closer, you can see that within those brilliant orange orbs seems to flicker some kind of deep, wild, crimson flame-like energy. Beast King Mordecai's pace slows as he reaches the end of the carpet, his head still facing all of you to the side. With a slow nod toward you all, he continues toward the throne and stands before it. He reaches out for a charred, scepter-like branch that is leaning up against the throne. And as he reaches for it, as soon as his fingers make contact with it, golden flame ignites at the top of the staff as if it were a torch head. And he turns to face all of you. Hopefully the music has been changing appropriately.
It just changed.
Yeah.
After a few moments of silence, and everyone clearly awaiting his words, the Beast King speaks. Welcome, my kin, and thank you for lending your presence this morning of Lordas, 14th of Frostfall. The golden sun shines brightly upon us this day, and holds the following conversations in a spotlight, which may prove not only of deep import, but historical in their own right. Lord Severin of Nor Azel in the Jazuran coast to the south, and Lady Creatia of Kilodin in the Caneloft jungle to the west, are unable to attend today's council, as they have innumerous other matters to attend. But they send their liaisons in their stead. I welcome my Seneschal of Sky, Korik, my Seneschal of Land, Dinah, and my Seneschal of Sea, Ozai. Your presence here today is appreciated, and you bring honor to your communities by representing the other two great heads of Chimeras. As most of you know, the primarily human nation of Durast in the frigid northwest has not only declared, but has brought war to Creatia. Over the past 2 weeks, they have managed to reinforce their militaristic hold on Septelis at their southwestern border, move into Ostenis and assault and take the capital city, and have moved into numerous other cities, including that of Olandris, Mercenia, and various trade posts and border forts. I admit, I know little of the brute king of Durast, Zavar. Most of our Aura Corps scouts that occupied the primary aviary of Ostenis returned home quickly after the invasion, and we have considerably less scouts that have returned with information of value from Durast itself. However, it appears that several high-ranking officers of King Durast, his talons and otherwise, are personally seeing to the recovery and enforcement of various townships and cities throughout Creatia, and Zavar himself now sits on the throne of Ostenis, at least for a time. As this one is sure you have taken note, I welcome also to our nation 4 Udenil travelers. I know them myself as little as you may, but thanks to a letter I received from a late trusted friend just before the fall of Ostenis, along with the scouting reports of the Terra Corps, it has become clear to me that these 4 are an extension of the trust I placed in the Udenil known as Gallus Aren. Some of you in attendance know what this human meant to me, though many of you do not. I ask you take my word that this Udenil man was an exception to the type of Udenil you may expect or have wandered through the world. A beacon of welcoming hospitality, and like myself, unwaveringly ferocious in defense of his kin. These 4 Udenil were recent occupants of the small town known as Forest Hollow, in the care and trust of Gallus Aren, and fought by his side as he was slain by one of Durastian King Zavar's 4 talons. They appear to have aided their populace in evacuating their city, and upon my arrival several days ago at that location, after belaying Durastian soldiers myself, I escorted the final remainders of that populace to an abandoned set of ruins in the Emerin, where their people are sheltering for the time being. I walked alongside these individuals, learning of our new 4 Udenil guests. And it was emphasized to me that they saw in these 4 Udenil what they saw in my friend Gallus. Individuals who are fierce and protect their own even when they have other goals to attend to. I would ask that you 4 please approach.
Walk forward.
I leave Alfie behind.
I would have you face our audience here today and introduce yourselves to them.
I lean into Telperion. Okay, Telperion, this is probably a bad time to lie, correct?
This would be about time to lie.
Toby, like, really perked up at those last few sentences and almost like makes to like approach and like ask a question to the king, but it like then like backs away at like the fierce intent of kind of like the orders he kind of just gave us.
Also, just as a bit of visual flavor here, Fire Emblem style, I'm going to make him available on the token layer because he is the primary speaker
awesome.
of this scene.
Yes.
But
Then
continue.
Toby Rama will look at the other three and
Love that.
signal to them that he would like to address the crowd.
I nod and like egg you on.
Absolute dead silence. All you hear is the flickering flame from Beast King Mordecai's staff.
Toby, like, yeah, I'll step in front of us, and then I will turn and say, Your Majesty, if what you say is true, you have my undying gratitude for escorting the people of Force Hollow the remainder of their journey. And I'll like give a slight bow and then turn around again.
He nods at you.
I do not, and this is kind of me addressing the crowd, I don't know the significance of our presence here and your majestic capital. But we are here because we have a task at hand. And I'll gesture to Roulette and I'll say, this is Roulette Tinkerton. It's Storm's End or Storm's Edge.
Whatever the Game of Thrones one isn't.
So Storm's Edge.
Yeah.
This is Roulette Tinkerton of Storm's Edge, Arcane Prodigy. Here is Jax, the Mad Wolf.
Just Jax.
Just Jax.
I'll step forward when you go to say my name. And I say, and I am Telperion Loonsong, of the Nimithil Elves, son of Tenufeal and Yviring of the Ithilwinge. No, I'll step back so you can keep going.
And I am Toby Rama Ironson, Balance Bringer, Child Defiled, Arjit Lam, and Gallus Friend. Your Highness, I do not know if you knew of this, if Gallus had spoken of this, but Gallus Aaron was a fierce, compassionate man who saved many lives and had set up or assured the existence of the town of Force Hollow, or rather the Forsaken's Hollow. But Gallus began to notice that times were changing. We were experiencing bandit attacks. There was rumors of unease in the nation of Creatia. And so Gallus had meant to establish a small force on behalf of Force Hollow to go out and learn of the goings-on of the world. Force Hollow is a small town, generally content to live amongst ourselves. But the world was not going to allow us to ignore it. So around a month and a half ago, these three individuals and myself were appointed by Gallus to be this force to go out and seek the betterment of our town. And as we first made our way to the capital of Ostennis, we were present as Durast forces infiltrated the capital, beset Queen Alaya, and we were present as we fended off this attack, assured the Queen's temporary safety before fleeing so as to warn our small little town of Forsaken's Hollow. Gallus began to understand the scope of what he wanted for us needed to be something greater. So we are here, originally for the sake of Force Hollow, but now we seek to protect Creatia as a whole. And if my fears are warranted, what Durest may pose as a threat to all of Aeridon. So you've met the four of us, and we are the Forsaken Wynds of Creatia, and you may refer to us as the Four Winds. And I will step back.
Thank you, Tobirama Ironson, Telperion of the Ithilwinge, Jax and Roulette. We welcome you to our home. And that is where I'd like to pause for a bio break.
Woo! Nice job, MK.
I felt like I was fumbling through a bit of that, but
He's going wide.
Oh. No, no,
You did, yeah, you did legit awesome. And the Forsaken Winds of Creation, that's so sick, the four winds.
That's what we were working on. We didn't want to tell you.
we didn't want to tell you.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, Steve, tell them what you just thought, though.
Oh, also, because Toby, you just said the word force, and I was like, are we the Force Winds? Who knows? Hey, Pug.
Perfect. Bio break, get lunch, do whatever, and then we'll come back to it. Does he look okay?
That is a very, very well done Photoshop job. Like very like I have been looking at
A lot more than I'm willing to admit of that is hand drawn.
Yeah, like they're like I've been looking at it a lot and trying to be like, does anything look off? No, it's well done.
I wanted to change Kangus's face from a human to a Leonin, like an actual like lion snout. Like he's Kangus does not look like that. Kangus's face is a human face.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 4 Winds. I love that.
And we also may talk about it more after, but Steve was making a good point, and I definitely don't disagree with it, that the idea of naming ourselves something so based on For's Hollow, Forsaken, and all that, we weren't so sure about. So I posed the idea of, oh, this was a thing Gallus was working on. And so we're kind of thinking right now this may be a short-term name. We don't know if this is going to be who we are.
Sure.
Oh my god, Robbie Damon got a haircut.
Yeah.
I did not see that. Wow.
Different person.
He looks like
Smoke
from
show.
Schitt's Creek. The son. Reminds me of him. At a glance.
Daniel Levy, that's funny.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with
I'm allowed to have opinions. Also, I was concentrating on a spell during all of that, so, like, yeah, I might have messed up a word or two.
I think it was awesome. Very well done.
You did great.
I also just adore when you guys just take it and run with it. I'm like, I just get to be a viewer for a minute.
Yeah, I realized that towards the end of our talking of in-game last night, of us just RPing and conversating with each other. I'm like, oh yeah, we're just doing this, and Chris is just watching and listening.
It's so goddamn satisfying for me. Because it feels like you guys are fully participating in the world, and it's not me just DMing at you and you guys commenting every once in a while. It's you guys are being in the world. It's amazing. Unintentional, but man, those look like Dragon Balls.
I thought you were describing Dragon Balls. Even before you showed them, I was like, oh, is he doing Dragon Balls? Interesting.
That is absolutely unintentional, but I love how amazing it is, especially with his golden mane looking like Super Saiyan hair.
Super Saiyan 3, like.
Yeah.
And there are 7 of these things around his neck.
Yep. Although the way I drew them
It's not symmetrical.
makes it seem like, yeah, it's not symmetrical, and it makes it seem like there should be like 9, but whatever.
And they're not numbered at all.
They don't have little red stars inside them.
They do not.
Or black stars, if you're on your GT.
Because is that representative of just GT versus Z, or is that because it's different planets? Like their planets is red and other ones are black.
It's a galactic set of Dragon Balls. So like once they are used, they spread out over the galaxy instead of just over the world.
Oh.
I like the photo in the bottom left, having the king down there.
Bro, I love it.
It's a good added touch.
I was gonna add the 4 of you also, But I'm like, but shit, Telperion thinks his hair's white now, and Jax now looks like Jax, not Jiri, so I can't like just cut out the picture of the commission. So I'm like, fuck, maybe someday in the future, but not today.
After session, we should show him reference. Because it's also, it's very impressive how good of a job he did modifying it.
Yeah, I can. It's so nice when I'm on Photoshop and I can toggle off back and forth between the reference and what I did to him.
You did this?
Oh yeah, I heavily used a reference, but I modified color palette, added the hair, and the person has a humanoid face, and I lionified it, and then I added the orbs and the colors, and I did a lot of hand work to this guy, but there is a very clear reference underneath it.
What do you use for drawing?
He's a Waco tablet.
Is this what you were working on?
I draw. Yes, this is refining Mordecai was what I was spending a lot of time doing this week. I draw on here and it appears up on the screen, and it's so nice to have, like, I'm drawing here, my left hand's on my hotkeys on the keyboard, and I'm just looking up. It is I have so much control. And as I get better and better at Photoshop, it will get even better. But I still consider myself like Skyrim novice at Photoshop. Like, I know so little. So for how much time I put into Photoshop, I know nothing about Photoshop. But the Beast King came out pretty well. I'm very excited about him.
Very cool.
Crunch.
What you munching on?
Right.
Carrots.
Carrot.
Carrots.
Lame.
I did arugula, romaine, feta, and like lunch meat turkey with some blue cheese dressing and some buffalo sauce.
Dang, is that bowl big enough?
I wanted a smaller one, but they were dirty. It'll do.
Okay, we can get back into this if everyone's good. Thumbs up. Sweet. Okay. So as Tobirama, you complete your statements and Telperion step forward and said a word, and you introduce yourselves as the Forsaken Winds of Creatia, or the Four Winds. And Mordecai regards you all. Thank you to the Four Winds of Creatia. You are our guests, and we will treat you as such. I expect all in attendance to not only treat these Udinils as kin, but to spread word through your respective connections and communities to do the same. Thank you, you four. You may find your places once more. And as he kind of gestures, you guys can all kind of slide back. Now, to other matters. All of you here today likely know intimately the customs of Chimeras and the duty of the three great heads to protect our nation and populations from the threat of Udinil invasion, colonialism, and subjugation. For almost 200 years, you have placed your trust in this one to lead the various great heads in council and, if necessary, in war. A history of mistreatment of Villian by Udinil hands has, for a long time in our history, bred in most of us a deep mistrust of the northern nations. Belladonna seeks political supremacy, indulging in self-serving games of capital advancement. Durast has threatened violence before, but the warmongering and debaucherous humans once more seek to bend smaller populations to their will. And Valara remains hidden to the far north, whatever cities exist in that terrain hiding behind frost and forest. But many of you may not be aware that Queen Alaya of Creatia, King Geralt Coster before her, and several other monarchs before them have invited me over the years, holding thoughtful audiences with me in attempts to offer aid to our people. Skeptical at first, I began to glean true intent from them, that they wanted to be truly an ally to us. The Emerald Forest is no small feat to cross, and I gained the opinion that they did not pursue these talks to gain a militaristic or commercial ally, but rather to truly, honestly, do what they can to be an ally themselves, even going so far as to provide reparations for Villian history. Certainly, no amount of good in this century, or even this era, could undo the hostile history we know. But they take the right steps, and I view Creatia as a bridge to progress for our kin. You know that Auroras in Bellidonia occasionally welcomes Villian into their ranks and positions of power, but this one has seen for himself that that is only the case when those individuals provide clear monetary or positional value or use to the government there. Creatia has, for centuries, allowed and been hospitable to our kind in their lands. Where my friend Gallus Aeridon called home, where the four winds, these Udinel guests, come from, Forest Hollow in Creatia, numerous Villian made home there. Numerous more make home in Ostennis, and are likely at the soon-to-be subjugation of duress that now occupies that city. Creatia has, for a long time, strived to be a beacon of welcoming hospitality to all who travel to its lands. They have not been perfect, and they have a long way to go. But they have been punished by the xenophobic king in the Northwest, their knees now bent to his will. And although Creatia did not specifically reach out for political or militaristic aid, perhaps because they did not reach out for political or militaristic aid, as Beast King of our nation, joined in support by the other two great heads of Chimeras, I take great interest in seeing our nation lending some form of strength to our Udinil neighbors across the Emerald. I will deliberate at length with my seneschals and otherwise to consider ways forward. But I announce to you all here and now that we find ourselves at a turning point in this era where we can choose to turn our nose away from our previous transgressors or seize an opportunity for change that lays before us. Personally, even if I am tempted to sit back and let Udinil nations weaken each other about matters that do not interest us, I would rather take action for the advancement of our welfare. Disperse this news however you like across your various dens, but go with confidence that Chimeras will not sit idly by while the only ally we have of the past millennia is accosted. Thank you for all of your attendance this day. Now go bask in the light of the golden sun that favors us. My seneschals and my Udinil guests, please stay behind a moment. I would speak with you all further.
Can I get a gauge on the crowd's reaction to him insinuating helping a Udinil nation?
Make an insight check.
We all make insight checks?
Absolutely, yeah. If that's something you're paying attention to.
I'm not, because I'm really carefully watching him.
Okay.
Dang.
Yeah, Jax, you can flavor your lack of insight however you want. Maybe other things are drawing your attention, but
I'm like trying to whisper with Roulette now and be like, this is kind of awkward, don't you think? I'm nervous.
And Toby Rama, you definitely see hushed conversations taking place as almost everyone was so diligently quiet for the king speaking. In the second he released everyone to go back into the city, they are all quickly like going over and clustering in cliques to discuss things low, hushed, and all stealing looks at you all. With that high of an insight check, that might have been all you noticed, but with that high of an insight check, you overhear conversations nearby you that it is an absolute split of, that makes sense. They're the only ones that have, like, this could be a way forward for Villian to journey into the world at large, and saving Creatia is our way forward to be more treated more fairly with less prejudice and such. Others are like, why in the world would we lend aid to Udinil nations? Let them squabble. They're across the Emerald. Like, we should maintain ourselves here and put priority on bolstering our strength should Udinil try and seek colonialistic gains here. So it is an absolute split from what you are gleaming.
Which is like the ideal situation Toby had hoped for, was that it wouldn't just be overwhelmingly no thanks, but there's deliberation, and that's a great first step.
And based on your understanding of Sora's company, the various individuals in Forest Hollow and Ostenis, Korik, Villian you've encountered with have, like, Sora was wary of you guys at first, but she warmed up to you. Korik has seemingly been fairly hospitable, but maybe that's his job and he's under direction of the king. You are surprised that this many people are interested in saying, yeah, that makes sense. Perhaps the king's word holds a lot of weight here. Definitely a lot of good insight you get from that check. But as the king steps forward, no longer sitting on the throne, let me move him there so I can move him up.
Before that processes, I lean over and I say, Jax, did you say you're nervous?
Yeah. I feel like there's... What?
What were you saying?
Oh, it feels awkward. I feel like it should be Jiri here, not me.
I reach into my little pouch and I pull out a mint leaf and I rip it in half and I say, put this in your mouth and try to suck all the juice out of it, and it'll make you look really focused and attentive, and no one will know what you're doing. And if Jerry was here, he would have said something really stupid by now. So take comfort in the fact that you haven't done that yet.
Yeah, maybe I'll just keep my mouth shut.
I used to do that when I was little.
My 3 seneschals, the 4 winds of Creatia. Let us commune. I would hereby officially welcome the 4 of you to Corital, deep into our lands. Have you found that the abode Korik provided you adequately suited your preference, or would you prefer to switch accommodations?
I think we were comfortable.
You were most generous, Your Majesty. We were surprisingly quite at home for our rest last night, so thank you.
He nods. His face is hardened and scarred and wrinkled, and it's just like not showing age, but showing experience. And every word he says sounds hospitable, but coming from this like very stern face is almost jarring. This seems like, it almost doesn't seem like his face is indicating friendliness, but his words are. He's just a very severe looking individual. Very well. Feel free to discuss amongst yourselves further if you wish, but once you are certain, please make that choice known to Korik, and he will ensure that you are given full possession and ownership of that residence. Perhaps it is my fondness of my memories of Gallus, or perhaps it is the tales I've heard of you, willingly endangering yourselves while leaping to Sora's aid in the forest. A promising scout in our Terra Core. But what I have heard so far reminds me of his fierce kindness. I hope to see that on display from you myself sometime. You are, from this day forward, welcome to come and go from our city as you wish, and your residence will be available to you indefinitely, and noted as such in our records. Now, my Udinil guests, Willing or unwilling, you now find yourselves the unintended or perhaps even unwitting ambassadors of Creatia in the wilds of Chimeras. I would very much like to hear from you all and get some understanding of each of your spirits. I suspect you may be somewhat overwhelmed with the responsibility I hope and plan to bestow upon you. And I wish to know your personal motivations and desires, so I may learn and perhaps contribute in kind. How about you, Telperian Loonsong of the Ithilwinge? What do you make of your current circumstances? It is clear Gallus seems to have trusted you enough to choose your company when traveling into our lands. But perhaps your loyalty to the nations of Creatia and Chimeras, lands not your own, has changed with his passing. And, as I understand, the Ithilwinge has not ventured outside their forest territories in centuries. Isn't that right? At least primarily? What do you hope to accomplish, both in willingness to be involved in potential for upcoming conflict, as well as more large-spanning motivations?
The Ithilwinge have long sequestered themselves in a portion of the Emerald, which we have defended fiercely and protected, as our culture has waned with the loss of the Alealor, and I departed from them without full permission to seek the Alealor and to expand outward and see what we've been missing by hiding it for so long. Gallus certainly, as you know, made an impression upon those he met and cared for, and his kindness to me was a very big, had a big import on my course, and I did not intend to form an alliance with folks like these to help so many outside of Ithilwinge, but it has proved very fortuitous and exciting, and I do not wish to run back to the forest to hide anytime soon. And to be quite honest, listening to your speech and hearing your disposition towards the Durastians has been very insightful for me, because I fear for the Emerald. The Emerald has burned once before, and
make an insight check as you say that.
Okay. Okay. Only a 6 plus 0. 6.
Okay. Keep going.
And I think that it's about time the Ithilwinge ceased their isolation and joined the outer world. So Queen Elia was very hospitable to me as well, as you have been and as Gallus was. So I've been very impressed with these nations, and certainly have no favor towards Durast at the moment. And if I did return to the Ithilwinge, I would seek to beseech my parents to send some aid to Creatia as well, since I think that it is about time we rejoined the world outside of our lands.
This isn't persuasion specifically. Make a charisma check with advantage because of your enhanceability.
12. Oh, yeah. 13 minus 1, 12.
A journey to seek a forsaken people. And you travel outside, not with the blessing of those you call family. Have you found, young elf, that your journeys have opened your mind to cultures and peoples not your own?
I can safely say my mind has been greatly changed by my time outside of the Mooncrest Grove. And I have not had much experience with the younger races such as these. I gesture to my friends. And I've been incredibly impressed by their skill and with the brightness with which they burn. So, yes.
He leans in a bit and studies your eyes, and you can see his eyes just like almost flickering, like the golden amber hue in them is almost like flickering like flame. I am not familiar with much interaction of the Ithilwinge, although it may interest you to know that I have spoken personally in recent weeks with Erithel Meyerlight of House Enelirin of the Cloudswift Elves, and Eleanor Morwind of what I understand is the most recent addition to the great houses of the Ithilwinge, House Thantuar. They seem to be doing valuable work in the Emerin, now venturing much farther east than typical, working to heal portions of the forest destroyed by the burning 3 years ago. And as he says burning, his nostrils kind of flare. I have not often interacted with your people, and they have seldom journeyed so far east. We take careful note of any Udinil advancements towards us and our lands, as our histories are bloody and traumatic. We will not look kindly on these Thantuar if we find their ambition to be selfish and colonialistic. But I have not been given cause for concern as of yet. For now, the houses claim simply a desire to heal and make new what was lost, for which I am currently appreciative. Thank you.
As the recent ambassador, unwittingly, of Creatia, and seemingly the ambassador of the Ithilwinge, neither of which are titles I sought for myself, I can assure you, now that I know your disposition towards the colonialism and the movement of the Thanatuwa, I can speak to them personally and seek to understand their motives as well, and encourage them in what ways I can to not advance into your territory with ill intent.
Very well. How about you, half-elven Jax? Your scent is strange. Not something I've smelled before. Odd for elven blood. What do you make of the current situation, and what do you strive to achieve in both short term and long?
Oh boy. And Jax is chewing on the mint, right? And so he like his eyes grow wide and he looks at
I mouth
Valkyrion. And I like he swallows it.
That's gross.
And he tries really hard not to cough, but it's super minty, I'm assuming. And he just looks nervous speaking in front of like a huge crowd, and he just nervously says, I have my own reasons for helping out. I only recently joined this group, so I feel like I am mistrusted among these individuals, but I wish to prove them wrong. I wish to show that I am worthy of trust, but I have my own motivations for being against Durast. I have a mission. I must return to Daenor, but I will help these individuals first before I do so. I've promised them that.
Do you hail from Daenor then?
I do. And I don't remember much, but I know I have to return. I have a mission. Something I must do for my family. And it's important for me to return.
I would
he bends down a little bit, and absolutely.
I would like, as Jax is describing that, and like Toby kind of was listening, and then he says like the recent addition, and so Toby will perk up and try and, I don't know if he's nodding or if he's just like trying to just give a little side eye reassurance of honesty from what Jax is saying.
Okay. I'm not going to give him... Jax, make a charisma check. I'm not going to give you advantage for this, but Toby Ramen may affect something. Just charisma.
Just plain charisma?
Specific. Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was 9. Dang.
He leans down, his kind of 7.5 foot tall form coming down to you eye level as he kind of bends down, and he looks deep into your eyes. and then raises back up. Very well. What about you, Roulette Tinkerton? What do you hope to accomplish in Chimeras, in Creatia and otherwise? Respectfully, the stench of Belladonian coin wafts from your person. Do you find you owe any allegiance to the nation we seek to lend aid, or are there other more personal pursuits that take priority for you? I do not wish to inscript the service of those who do not give passionate resolve to the tasks ahead.
I'll start real quickly, but I do somewhat share your view of Belladonia in general. The town I'm from is well far away from the downtown capital folk of Belladonia, and we don't really prescribe to a lot of their views. But as far as goals, I mean, on the surface, it is a bit selfish, and I've shared this with my friends here. I think my main goal, there's a saying, your reputation precedes you, and I want that for my family's name, not in a negative, power hungry, malicious sort of way. I want the Tinkerton name to be a name known for making stuff, for our creations, and I'll kind of gesture Alfie, and I'll kind of activate Moby 3. These are just two of the things that I've made. I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of thoughts and things I want to make. Things I want to make to help people, whether it's something to actually help with fighting, or actually to help, maybe even people And I'm going to open up my notebook, and I want to show him the sketches that I started last night for what I'm calling my thumpers. This is something super early, and I haven't even started making prototypes of it yet, but you've got a bit of a bullet problem outside of Kirsan. And those things are terrifying and dangerous, but easy to manage and avoid if you know how. Something like this could be a way to distract them, so in case anyone's stuck out there, they can escape. But that's just kind of one of dozens and dozens of different things that I've got going on in my head as far as things I want to make.
Make a charisma check with advantage.
Yoink. Oh my God.
There are certain things he's more receptive to hearing than others. Oh wow, nice.
The benefit of his people, yeah, that well spoken.
Korik did mention your competence in battle, fighting the bullets outside Kirsan. A service, of course, to our Villian in Kirsan, but it is good to know that you also, outside of that encounter, kept the benefit of our people in mind. Not as some aimless goal, but with tangible solutions being developed. I will remember that. Thank you, Miss Tinkerton. Pride in one's family name is a noble goal. Something I once knew well.
Thank you, Hannes.
And that brings us to you, Toby Rama Ironson. Balance Bringer. Gallus spoke highly of you, specifically, in the letter he sent from Ostennis a day or two before Durast's invasion. What drives you forward each day? Loss of a friend is something I know all too well, and though I do not wish to imply I know your emotional struggle, I am familiar with the sensation of deep loss. What do you find drives you forward? Do you seek revenge at those who have wronged you, or perhaps justice for a nation subjected to another's force of will? And outside of this war, what kinds of fate do you walk toward?
Revenge. Justice. Yeah. I find myself in a situation where they seem aligned. And I don't know how I've come to terms with that yet. Gallus was slain, or what I can only assume to be one of the talons of Daenor or Durast. But they spoke during their fight. And while I would take no small comfort in seeing that knight dead, I still think there's much to uncover. Aside from that,
you feel, as you're looking down, you feel a claw under your chin as he has reached forward and lifts your face to meet his gaze. If you wish to lend your aid to our people, I am confident we can unravel whatever mystery you seek. Whether for justice, vengeance, perhaps it matters not. But restoring good people to ownership of their lands is no small thing. And then, let's go. Kind of see, like, he gleamed a bit of, like, downward spiral, like you going inward, and he wanted to assure you in that moment.
I'm also fatherless, as far as I understand it. And I mentioned I met these folks recently, and we have gone through much together, and they have earned my trust through action. I've spent quite a bit of time with Gallus. And aside from the idea of revenge, him being gone has really cemented the truth of his intent in me. And again, your words of assuring the safety of the people of Force Hollow is brought me more happiness than I've been able to experience in the past few days. And I hope that's not where this ends. I hope we can continue that trend for Creatia and for Durast. Because
I hope that too, young one.
They're a nation. They're not their leader or their military.
Make an insight check as you say that. That's enough, because this isn't, he is, although his face is stern, he is less diplomatically poised and stoic-faced as like someone who, like Kalaya. His emotions can become evident. And as you say, they are a nation, they are not their leader. He looks away from you downward for a moment, and you see like an increased flare in his eyes and almost like a subconscious exhalation through flared nostrils.
Okay. Well, that's kind of where I will end my statement of my goals, my resolve.
And another matter. As I understand, Gallus entrusted you with something. Do you have it?
I will glance around, and it's just the three seneschals, the king, and us in here right now.
Over the course of this conversation, everyone has filtered out of the throne room other than the 8 guards, 4 on each side on the railings, and the 3 seneschals near you.
I will place trust knowing you as a friend of Gallus and knowing that this item is known. This is my last memory of him. So while I don't understand it, it is most precious to me.
As you go to reach for it, he puts his paw on or his clawed hand. It's not truly a paw, but on your hand, preventing you from withdrawing it. This one appreciates your willingness to trust. However, be wary of using Gallus's memory to rationalize trusting individuals. He has a historied past. There may be others that use similar logic to goad you into situations you may not want to find yourselves. Simply because someone in his past claims to be a friend of his, do not always trust them.
Toby has a shaking of head, like, how had I not thought of the manipulation potential there? So
and it becomes crystal clear to you now. And I would say with that wisdom save / borderline bit of insight also, it probably lends more credibility to the king in front of you, not needing to see what you just offered. Some people will manipulate that out of you. I don't need to be one of those people.
Awesome.
But the four of you, thank you for indulging in my curiosity. I hope for the chance to learn more of you in the coming weeks and months. I will emphasize that you are free to leave this place and never return if that is where the winds guide you. But you have shelter here in our city whenever you want it, and it is my hope to put you to work with motivations of my own, should you accept. Discussing with trusted advisors and counselors will take time. We will need to decide whether true military aid is what we should offer to Creatia or otherwise. This will take weeks, even months of planning and preparation if we are to challenge the might of Durast across their nation and that of Creatia. I hope that while we are making preparations and tending to matters of state and territory, we might put you to use in a different fashion. I would like to introduce all of you to my 3 seneschals. Chimeras is so named for the legendary chimeras that once dwelled among its boundaries. And though it is sadly presumed that no more chimeras still breathe to this day, Chimeras has for many millennia acted under a philosophy that 3 great heads shall work together in harmony, forming a beast of a nation that is greater than the sum of its parts. As current Beast King of Chimeras, I serve the population as the great head of Corital. Then there is the head of Nor Azel to the south, Lord Severin of the Jazuran coast, and the head of Kilodin to the west, Keatra, Herald of Caneloft. The 3 seneschals that pledge service to Chimeras as Beast Kings are hand-selected by the 3 different great heads. That is who you see before you today. They are trusted friends, advisors, and representatives of various territories in our lands. Dinah is my seneschal of land. He gestures towards the almost borderline wood elven looking woman, but her very clear lupine features and striped facial tattoos indicate her very clear Villian nature, not elven, even if she indicates some elven adjacent visage. She is commander of the Terra Corps warriors throughout our nation. She is likely the most proficient fighter that lives in this city, and was hand-selected myself to serve as seneschal and be my liaison to the other great heads when the need arises. She is extraordinarily competent and a valued pillar of safety of our kin. She nods at all of you with a stoic face and an affirmative grunt under her breath. Ozai is my seneschal of sea. He gestures to the lithe, gray-scaled lizard folk man. Ozai was hand-selected by Severin, the Sultan of Jazura down in Norizel, and he is second in command to the naval forces of Chimera, the Mari Corps. I believe Ozai will agree that Severin and myself do not always see eye to eye, and Ozai's diplomacy and tact and negotiation between us is most appreciated. You do both of our territories a great service.
You honor me, King.
He has an astute intellectual mind, and his proficiency in conducting natural magics may be of use to you, though in a different sort of way from that of Korek. Which brings me to my Seneschal of Sky, gesturing to the familiar face of the elderly Hawk Aarakocra druid who escorted you all here. He is my most valued source of wisdom and guidance, Korek, my oldest friend. He once was more involved with philosophical guidance and training of the Aura Corps throughout our lands, but that responsibility has since been passed several decades ago to the various captains of the birdfolk in Kil Odin in the Caneloft jungle of the Emerin. You may find Korek to be rather unique among birdfolk, and was selected as Seneschal of Sky by a long-past great head from Kil Odin. And every head since has continued to keep him in their service as their representative for Seneschal of Sky. He means more to me than most in this world, and you will find his willingness to offer wisdom most valuable. The Seneschals each are a representation of the major territories of our lands. They act as the voice of their respective great heads when they are otherwise indisposed. Therefore, it is my hope that you would honor them each a request. This would go a long way in proving to our different territories that there are well-meaning Yudenil, especially from Creatia, that are worthy of our people's aid. No decree or call to arms I issue would have a surefire response that the villain of our nation would eagerly and suddenly take up arms to leap to Creatia's aid. But if you four can acclimate yourselves to these territories, doing service in the names of my seneschals or even the great heads themselves, it will do wonders for morale, and frankly make my job leading the charge toward Creatia easier. Therefore, I would ask that you hear out a request from each of the seneschals that they have for you. Then allow me to possibly make a request of my own. You are free to pursue or complete these tasks however you like, in any order that is preferable to you. Conversely, you are free to decline the request if you so wish. I do not require you endanger your lives at the whim of Villian request, but do note that winning the favor of the seneschals and the heads could in turn change your influence in our lands or otherwise, depending on the circumstance. Also, a final note that you may consider in the broader scope that this war could affect. The Senate of Aurorus in Bellidonia and various dukedoms throughout Bellidonia seem to often be engaged in series of inner matters and will likely not give expedient aid to Creatia, especially as Duras bolsters its strength and amasses influence through all of Duras and Creatia alike. The Belladonian armies and Senate are likely bolstering their own defenses and making wartime preparations to protect themselves. But moving against Duras too quickly would be deemed too risky for the bureaucratic senators. Belladonia is the most well-funded and well-resourced Yudenil nation on this continent for a reason, and they will not avoid becoming a player in this conflict. Their strength in politics and military cannot be denied. Frankly, they would make a powerful ally in this conflict. However, be wary if you find yourself in any position to negotiate with any Belladonian officials. If, during preparations and even warfare, Belladonia finds that it is in their interest to aid Creatia in pushing back Durastian invasion, they may very well lend their aid to doing so. But if things go in a poor direction, I am relatively confident that most of the Senate members will protect themselves and their cities however necessary, even meaning allying with unlikely players. Just this one's 2 coppers. But anyway, feel free to journey about our fair city and commune with the seneschals at your leisure. I am sure you have had an inordinately difficult few weeks, so this one would not fault you if you wish to head to your residence and decompress for the day or week or otherwise and make yourselves at home. You are free to walk about our lands. I would encourage that in the near future, you do wander about town. It would do our kin well to become more familiar with your presence and get them used to interacting with you, Danil, and may prove beneficial to you in more ways that you do not expect. I will be in and out of Den Ferris periodically. I still have many other matters to tend to throughout the nation, but while he is in the city, Korik can often be found in this very hall, and Dinah typically resides at Den Obsidia. Please do reach out to them if there is anything you require. They may make you chip in your fair share of work for certain accommodations, but they will ensure you are treated as any Villian would be fairly in our city. And unless you have any other questions, I will take my leave, venturing to other matters, and I will leave you in the company of my seneschals if you wish to converse with them.
Your Highness, from your scouts or from any other news, any word of Queen Elia and her cohort? Last we had left them, they were escaping south of the city towards, I believe, Mercenia, where you had mentioned Durastian soldiers have already made their way.
I have heard no word. But Elia, the two times I have met the woman, struck me with a gravity that you, Danil, do not often do. I suspect, with her connections at her disposal, she likely can manage to remain safe somehow. But I have no record of news on that front.
Understood.
Which, frankly, in times of war, especially under King Durest's brutality, I suggest is good news. He may make an example of her if he were to find her. If we heard sudden news of Elia, I do not believe it would be good.
As guests in your city, and perhaps some of the first Udinel to visit here in some time, is there anything you think we should know culturally that we may not already be sensitive to?
Bidet.
I cannot speak for every individual in the city. There may be some where hatred still clouds their hearts and may cause them to view you with hostility or even mean to harass you or otherwise. I would, however, suspect that as long as you do not outwardly offend anyone, if you are willing to have patience and turn a blind eye toward the attention you will undeniably draw, people will be curious and eager to engage you in conversation and carousement and otherwise. I think you will find our people, especially at the command of the several heads of the dens, various dens throughout the city, as they spread word through their communities. I do not believe you should find difficulty blending in with the environment. It will be uncomfortable for you, and keep in mind, for them. But I am optimistic.
As far as mingling ourselves in the city a bit more, do you guys have any objections, maybe taking that bit more centralized house?
Oh, yes, I wanted the treehouse.
Oh, the Dawn
No.
Shade.
Not the treehouse.
The Dawn Shadow Village.
We'll talk with
Yes.
Cork about this, though.
We'll talk with Cork that.
Yes, of course, that can be made available to you. Just discuss with Korik. He has my permission to grant you what you require.
Your Majesty, forgive me, I had not thought to bring this up yet. I believe I would have a way to contact Queen Elia right now with a short number of words.
Bitch can send.
Is there a message
That-
you would want to send her? I had thought to check in later.
His eyes go wide and he thinks off to the side. You have this magic at your disposal.
And I'll kind of look to Korik. I'm like, this is magic that I possess, and I'm confident in its ability. Kind of hoping he knows that that spell exists and is willing to be like, yes, that magic exists. I don't know, but
Korik has heard of such magics, though he has not practiced them. Most practitioners of our magics in our city are of a primordial sort, and rarely some are touched with a divine connection. Such magics are more of an arcane leaning organization, and we have not been able to accommodate such. Are you willing to make connection this moment?
I can do this twice a day, and I was thinking maybe I would reach out to a member of Force Hollow to learn of the nature of how much communication there is, and then we could craft a more meaningful message to send to Queen Elia based on that. Or if you had some short words you would want me to send her right away, I could absolutely do that.
He regards you very carefully. My voice could not reach her ears, correct?
Correct. I could let her know I'm here in your company, and
I think that would be prudent. I will trust your judgment to deliver the message how you will, but I would request that you include the phrase, "The golden sun blazes." That, I think, to her ears, will adequately prove my involvement with you. But you can, I do not wish to rush you into this. You take the time you need to craft your message. If you all will include that response, should you hear back, please alert Dinah, Korik, or myself as soon as possible.
of course, Your Majesty.
I apologize I cannot converse for much longer, but I do have other matters to attend to before noon approaches. You are left in good hands with my seneschals. I encourage you speak to them, hear their requests, decide if you have any interest in accommodating them, and otherwise are left to your own devices.
Thank you, Your Highness.
Welcome again.
We appreciate your time and courtesy.
He nods and throws a big clawed fist to his chest in recognition.
Sexy.
It's very Attack on Titan. And then he proceeds down the red carpet toward the entrance. Flames flicker from his form as he shifts into a quadrupedal form of an enormous dire lion and just picks up his pace and runs out of the space.
Busy man.
Like when you like hop on a mount, you know what I mean? You like press the button and then you're like fast travel.
Yeah. It is also as he releases his like charred branch scepter and leans it once more along the side of his throne before he does that. As soon as his fingers leave, that flame just dissipates. And he then continues out of the space. Toby Rama specifically, with your passive perception, because I don't think any of you guys would have asked about that, but your passive perception does catch something. As he was holding that scepter and in this fire of gold, it's not like a normal flame, it's a beautiful golden flame. Your passive perception caught like motion in it that did not indicate natural flame, volatile motion, but rather you thought you caught the glimpse of as if some creature was within that fire. But again, dissipated the moment he let go of that scepter.
Okay. I will then kind of turn to the seneschals and say, I am confident. Should we craft a message to send to Queen Elia?
Korik will approach you and says,
Yes, I believe the quicker we do so, the more advantageous our position lies.
That's Cork that said that?
yes.
Cork, quick question. The king said a phrase, the golden sun blazes. Do you know what that means?
I have not heard him spoken it before. It is not some significance to our people by any means. Perhaps it was something he spoke in council with Queen Elia.
I believe I'm limited on what I can send. This is an idea of what I had to reach out to her, and I'll relay what I just typed in the chat.
Very cool. Very, very, very cool.
If you feel confident in your phrasing, I suggest you reach out.
Toby will sit down, get crisscross applesauce, and will just kind of hold his holy focus on his glove hand, and I will cast Sending. And I will say, Toby Rama, friend of Gallus, in company of King Mordecai, how fare you, or Austenus? The golden sun blazes and shines upon your fortune, your majesty.
You wait for a couple moments, and then you hear a response creep into your head that only you can hear in your mind. Toby Rama, it is good to hear from you. How fare the lot of you and Gallus? I understand the sun blazes. We avoid Durast's notice for now. Kari is creative. Yes.
I will try to relay that there didn't seem to be any important info, just that she is alive with Kari, avoiding Durast, and I will relay that to the group.
Could you message her again?
Once more today.
I think it's important to know, for her to know, that King Mordecai is considering what kind of aid he could extend her, and that she should count on, hopefully, some kind of aid, because when she left, she would not have been sure. Also, Gallus, no longer with us. Would you like to leave that part out?
I don't know. If there's room, I don't think there's point in hiding it. And yes, and just because I wanted to kind of not know, but I'll now say, okay, Cork, I'm confident I can send a message of 25 words to her. I think Telperion speaks wisely that we should perhaps give her some hope.
Did you want information, Korik?
This connection is already invaluable. Toby Rama, have you ever... You must understand, there are members within our city that may have this magic at their disposal and don't even know it, but have not been able to achieve such on their own. Are you familiar at all with the process of inscribing spell scrolls?
Spellcasting in general is actually kind of a recent addition to my repertoire, so I'm afraid not.
Understood.
I would be more than happy to learn.
If you are willing to learn, there is a man in town that, well, I believe he's not in town currently, but he will be soon. He may be able to help guide you in that process, what that process looks like. It would be invaluable. It would take time and effort and resources. We may be able to facilitate those resources, but to give us ability to reach out to Elia would be invaluable.
Of course.
Something to consider. Anyway, would you like to hear of the Seneschal's requests? Afterwards, I will go make the Beast King aware of Elia's response that she fares well.
Absolutely.
What have you got for us?
Okay. So I'm going to do Corix first.
Cork with a C or a K?
Say it again?
Is Cork's name with a K?
Yes.
Okay.
Here, let me type in all of them. Coric,
Yeah, we need some names.
Seneschal of Sky, who once guided the Aura Corps.
Yeah, I spelled Oracore. Okay.
Ozai, Seneschal of Sea, is second in command, guiding the Mari Corps. And then there is Dinah, Seneschal of Land, who commands, is first in command,
Terra.
the commander of the Terra Corps.
There was also the Sultan of the Jazuran Coast, Severin.
Severin,
Right,
yes. So, yep. Lord Severin, Sultan of
Oh, it just sounds like Severus.
Sultan of Jazura in Nor-Azel along the Jazuran coast. And then there is
A
Creatia,
lot of things.
Yeah, I got Herald of Kenilloft, and I didn't get the rest of it.
Lady of... What's Lady Creatia? Lady Creatia.
But this Lady, Keatra, and Sultan, they're not on the same tier as the Beast King.
They are just below. He seems to be the primary head, but they are two other heads that command their seneschals and are very much, this is a, you are getting the sense that this is a nation organization that relies on three different pillars, but one is in primary command.
And Dinah is associated with
She was
Mordecai.
hand-selected by Mordecai. Coric is Mordecai's oldest friend, but was selected by some bird folk long ago in Kilodine, and then Ozai was selected by Severin.
So
Herald of Caniloft in the Caniloft jungle.
It's like a group of three, and each group of three has their own group of three, right?
Each
Has their own primary officer. Yeah.
So there's only 3 seneschals, not 9.
Yes. They don't each have 3 seneschals. They select one seneschal each, which serve as the kind of liaison / highest ranking officers of the primary head. So these three in front of you are the 3 seneschals, period. One's representative of the Jazura Coast in Nor-Azel, one's representative of Kilodine, and one's representative of here.
Seems a pretty solid system of checks and balances at first glance.
And it's already kind of was emphasized to you by the Beast King that he doesn't necessarily get along perfectly with that. Like, they're not always in alignment. They have different opinions and philosophies and such.
And they weren't here. That's right. Okay. Awesome.
Wait, whose seneschal is matched up with who again?
Mordecai hand-selected Dinah, seneschal of land. Land is kind of included with Koratal. Koratal is land, heart of the land, Koratal. That's Dinah, who commands the Terra Corps, the land infantry of the nation. Then Ozai is Seneschal of Sea. He works second in command with the Mari Corps in the Jazern coast to the south under Lord Severin.
And he was picked by Severin, yeah.
And then Creatia in Kilodin to the west did not hand select necessarily Korik, but Korik has essentially seemingly lived a long enough life, and every subsequent herald or leader of the great head of Kilodin has continued to use Korik's service because he's been so trusted in his wisdom.
All right, got it.
Cool.
Okay. That, and now onto the requests.
Okay, so the tasks. And this might be where we kind of end today. And I'm not going to RP the conversation, but we'll go over each of the 3 requests. Let's do Korik's first. Korik's task is that he would like for you all to simply meet with the Herald of Caneloft, Lady Creatia herself in Kilodin to the west, and aid a new up-and-coming prodigy in their community named Kinsalo, a young man who journeys to complete some sort of coming-of-age experience and wants you to offer your aid in his venture to do so.
Prodigy.
That would
Coming of age.
Yeah, and the man's name is Kinsalo. Korik believes this would ingratiate you to the Herald of Caneloft herself, and perhaps provide other opportunities for networking.
Okay.
Then Ozai's task is that there is a matter of sensitive nature that has been perturbing the Sultan of Jazura down in the southern tip of the nation at Norazel along the coast. The Sultan is a confident man, boisterous and brazen, and yet this matter has caused him to withdraw as of late, becoming paranoid and high-strung. Ozai has investigated the matter to a degree, but his notoriety in the city hinders his true ability to gather honest surveillance and accounts from the common populace. It is his hope that you may be willing to help navigate that situation evolving in Norazel and resolve or clear out any conspiracy that he will provide more details for shortly, if you are interested in that request, to set the Sultan's mind at ease once more, which would surely go far in winning his favor. A difficult thing to achieve, since Severin already does not always look fondly or agree with in alignment the king often, and may view the Beast King's new Udinel ambassadors with even more suspicion and doubt. And then for Dinah, I will go into for a little first person here, but hello, Udinel. Greetings. I am Dinah, Seneschal of Land. I am a simple woman. I respect strength, and it sounds like the king himself may send you on another task of his own motivation that may serve as Corey Tal's own task for which you to win favor among its populace. So for my request, tomorrow on Sundas, we are hosting a gauntlet event at Gold Maw Gorge. This event takes place a few times per year, whenever we can reasonably gather appropriate beasts. You see, sometimes when certain monstrosities and creatures stalk our wild lands and threaten populaces, the Terra Corps generally end up getting involved, and we usually try and subdue and capture said creature instead of outright killing it. We then acquire transport for it to the capital, where we allow it one final chance at winning its freedom once more by defeating a group of mercenaries. Groups of warriors throughout the nation sign up often for the gauntlet at Gold Maw Gorge, and we have very few signups this year. There are some, but if you would be willing to strive to survive through 3 rounds of combat with various monsters, carefully selected by various beast tamers and wild hearts, you could sign up for this challenge. This would set my mind at ease that we are backing competently proficient combat warriors in our Udinil guests. And just know that it would be 50 gold per person to sign up. Should you win the first round, you will double your entry fee. getting 100 gold each into your pockets. Should you win the second round, an additional 200 gold to each of you. And should you win the third round, an additional 300 gold to each of your participants, as well as a unique Mastercraft prize of some sort, which changes every gauntlet. For example, in past years, there has been a lance molded from the bone of a hill giant, a bow fletched from the wood of a submarine tree. At the beginning of this year, the Jet of Jazura herself won the tournament completely alone, with no team at her side. And as an example of the value these prizes usually hold, she won a dark silk cape that was enchanted to animate like wings for the wearer. Although I typically host the event, I am never made aware of the prize before the competition begins. But in case it is of interest to you, I have heard rumor that our own Moro Steamfang, the proprietor of Steamfang Forge down in the city, has been coordinating with the Sultan of Jazura himself for this year's prize. Though I cannot venture a guess what that may be. But that would be my request for you, and all you have to do is wait a day and enter yourselves in the challenge.
Oh, that one. That sounds like the best mission.
That sounds hype.
It honestly sounds like the most pressing. There's a time limit, so
Net 550 gold and a magic item if we win and don't die.
We gotta go. We have to ask the guy first what the item is, just so that we know.
to be clear,
It's actually
100.
also it's actually net 550. You're right.
Christopher, the name was something Steamfang. What was the
Steamfang Forge, Moro Storm.
That's the first
Yes.
name.
Moro Steamfang.
Rumors have circulated that Moro. Let me type it out.
Moro.
Moro Steamfang of Steamfang Forge has been rumored to be working on the Mastercraft item as the prize, and this gauntlet takes place in a place called Gold Maw Gorge.
I
We should
spelled
trick
that
him.
right for the record.
We should trick him
What'd you
into
say-
telling
what'd you
us
say,
what the
Tim?
item is.
Oh,
We should trick him to tell us what
Yeah.
the item is.
You're welcome to try.
I just want to get the prize money right, so my notes are accurate. Was it 100 back on the first round or 50 back on?
You have to ante 50, but you lose 50, but you stand to gain 600 total. So it's
Yeah, okay.
net 550 plus some
1, 2, 3.
unique weapon or armor or some unique prize.
Was the Mastercraft for each of the winners or for the team to share?
Say it again.
Was the Mastercraft item for each of the winners or one for the team to share?
As indicated by her suggestions, one was like a single weapon. One was a cloak that animated like wings. So it seems to be a single thing. If you want to choose to share that or make of use to it on an individual level, that is your choice. But
We'll split it into fourths.
Yeah, we'll just slash fifths or 6. I'll include Alfie. Or 6. I'll include Jax.
And Korik, after you hear out the requests of these seneschals, they put you under no pressure to answer right away. You guys can go deliberate and give them responses later. Yes, Telperion.
Oh, that was a stretch.
Okay. And then after that, Korik approaches you actually as well.
I am going to take your leave now. I want to make haste in relaying Elias' message to the king. This will factor into his planning with his councils and stewards and such. Additionally, he looks back and forth at both Telperion and Toby Rama. The king's request may be of value to you all outside of proving yourselves to him. He will need to give you the details, but I believe he intends to request that you make a journey to the top of Mount Owlethir, the tallest mountain of the Bridlebane mountain range to our east. There is a conclave of individuals there that train in various martial arts, and their head, I think he would want you to speak with.
Which, all of us speak with him?
Yes, the lot of you. Though I think some of you may find it more valuable than others.
To be clear, did we need to do the Seneschal's quest before that?
Regrettably, I believe the king rushed out a bit hastily to see to other matters, but as I understand, you are free to pursue any of these tasks in any order you wish. And if that means you want to engage in the king's request first, you are welcome to.
Sounds like the gauntlet's on a bit of a timer, but that's also maybe second priority then.
Very well. I do believe the king will be here tomorrow morning if you wish to give him any, if you wish to hold audience again. I think he will be eager to hear from you, especially with your long-range communicative magic, and to explain his request more personally. And I'll go ahead and type that into chat as well. It's Mount Owlethier of the Bridal Bane Mountain Range.
Oh, I spelled that so poorly.
No shot.
I was
OWL.
off.
I did OWL. Owlethier.
I did Alpha Ear, ALPHAEAR.
I got Morostine thing right, and I'll take that win for the day.
Ouch.
Bridal Bane.
Oh, I thought it was back. Did I write back? Did I write Bane?
I do have a
I
question.
wrote Bane. I'm cool like that.
And then I say, Cora, could you just excuse us for 1 second? We do want to tell you one thing, and I want to do a group huddle, and I want to say, everyone, the treehouse has to be the one. If we can pick a different one, I mean, the mountain one was cute and all, but can I please sleep under a tree again for the first time in a month? You can walk to town. You don't have to teleport outside to the fray.
I mean, perhaps the Dawn Shadow Villa was maybe a bit too exciting of a location. I have no preference.
We can also end here, and you guys could deliberate further and make a selection at the beginning of
we
the
don't have to
session. And I will also give you. Oh, so this is also okay. We'll conclude our session there, as these requests have been given to you all, and so now.